refreshed it, and it's like, you need to press go live. And I'm like, I did that! Okay. It hates me. Let's try this again. I have an ad for Mini
you're not
Wheats.
Jesse. Mini
I got an ad for Mini
I
Wheats.
eat those all the time.
Mini Wheats is one of the cereals of all time.
What does that mean? You don't even like cereal.
It is one of the cereals.
It's a weird cereal.
What does that mean?
It means exactly what it sounds like.
I'm getting an ad for...
Is
I
it
have
like
an ad for Fall Guys.
Is it like Game of the Year, but it's Mini Wheats?
I didn't say best. I just said that it is one of the cereals of all time.
My childhood fave was Cookie Crisp.
Oh, nice.
Cookie Crisp? That's not
What kind of
Canada, I
Mini Wheats?
think.
And Cocoa Puffs. I always had Cookie Crisp while watching Powerpuff Girls.
I was a
Okay.
big, like, Lucky Charms and Sugar Crisp. Those are my jam. But now I'm old
never
and
heard
I
of
eat
Sugar
Raisin
Crisp.
Bran.
I like
What is the
the
best kind of adult cereal?
adult cereal. What's an adult
Special
cereal?
K Chocolatey Delight.
Adult
Chocolatey
cereal,
Delight.
You mean oatmeal?
Oatmeal. I like oatmeal. I
Oh,
like
I do
oatmeal.
I
It's
do
good
like
oatmeal.
oatmeal. I have the right stuff in it. I like to put sliced almonds in my oatmeal.
Oh, fancy.
It adds a crunch, and it's lovely.
Nice.
Anyways, shall we
Also-
launch into this?
Yes,
have our
we are
sidebar
live.
about
Everyone's just
cereal?
listening to us talk about cereal here. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hylian Gamescast episode 172. I am one of your hosts, Daniel, aka 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗀. I'm joined today by the whole gang. The whole gang is here, actually. To my right, if you're watching this, is 𝗙𝗵𝗲. Below her is the Geek Apprentice, and of course, directly below me, you'll see the game over man himself, Jebby. Game over Jebby.
Hello, Akuna Matata.
So last week we talked about the trailer and the Nintendo Direct as a whole pretty in depth, but we kind of decided we've had time to kind of digest everything now, and thought we would reapproach it with more level-headed state of mind. That's the words. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. But how's everybody doing other than the cereal stuff? Everyone's having a good time?
Yeah, life is good. Mentioned earlier before we started, I'm going for my 2-year anniversary dinner today with the boyfriendo. Much exciting, yeah.
That is exciting. I feel like you guys just met.
I know! Time flies! I can't believe it's been 2 years!
It's wild.
Insane.
Buddy.
I love
2
that.
years, we got 2 cats. Life is great.
One for each year. One
2
cat
years,
per
2
year.
cats.
That's how you go. Like, you just get a cat every year, and then that's how you keep track.
Cat farm.
By the way, everyone watching, let us know how the audio is, if I need to adjust anything, or if anyone's too loud or too quiet. Ja. I've been really enjoying Splatoon 3, by the way. I've been playing it way too much. Way too, like every day. Like at least 2 hours a day.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Same
Me too.
boat. It's pretty quirky.
I haven't been playing either, so.
Oh, that's okay. Jube and I
That's
I've
Although-
never
okay.
played Splatoon.
I forgot to tell you guys, something really cool
Mhm.
was sent to me by a company that I can talk about the day after tomorrow.
Oh.
Okay. Cool. Thanks for
The
the
suspense.
weird, ominous secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys don't want to play Splatoon, it's cool. Burger and I do Splatter Days every Saturday, except you're doing it or Saturday morning this week, but...
Yeah. Well, that's because we have a special guest coming on. I don't know if I should say who it is. He didn't say he didn't say to keep it a secret.
I don't think
know.
it's a secret.
No, he was pretty open about it. He commented on the last video asking, so.
True. Also true.
We just need to pick out a day.
Dragon-Chi in the chat said you're all both too loud and too quiet at the same time. I don't know how to
That is
adjust
a
for that.
contradiction.
How do I? What settings
there
do
a
I need to
setting for
change
that?
for that?
Does he mean like
Audio filter?
Daniel is too loud, but the rest of us are too quiet? Or is it like the same situation as yesteryear?
Right? I don't know. That was a joke. Oh, my bad. Okay. sorry. My bad. Okay,
Yeah, you took
thanks,
that
Greg.
way too seriously. You missed the smirk.
I did. I missed the smirk. My bad. Well, I'm just gonna assume from the joke that audio is okay then. Also, Hyrule Warriors, is it HG? Actually, it is. Okay, I'm spoiling it. Yes, HG, Hyrule Gamers coming on Saturday morning to join 𝗏𝗵𝗲 and myself for Splatoon. It's gonna be really fun. So yeah, which is why we're doing it in the morning, because if we do it at my usual stream time on Saturdays, it'll be like 5 a.m. for him because of time zones. So.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Which he said he was fine with, and I was like,
Scotland.
He's like, well, I'm a night owl, so I could make it work. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that to you.
Not that much.
You don't stay
5
up.
a.m. is that weird, like, it's night, not really, but it's also too early to be morning?
Yeah.
Well, that's like, I would go to bed, and then I would plan to wake up to stream at 5 in the morning.
Right.
I'd stay up till 5 in the morning.
Right? Oh my gosh. It was like, I was like, I'm not gonna do that to you, man. Like, that's, like, that incredibly nice of him to say that, but like...
Right.
I'm not gonna do that
Right.
to you. Yeah.
He commented on a video of mine recently.
He is
Oh,
the
fun.
homie, honestly. He's like the super nice guy. Great dude. But
Every now and again, I get comments from people that I'm like, you watch my stuff?
oh yeah, right?
And I just, like, I had a comment from Monster Maze once, and I was just like,
We're all
okay.
one big happy family.
yeah,
I love it.
Don's also Monster Maze is also like super chill guy, super nice dude. They really all are.
Oh, yeah.
If you talk to like pretty much
Yeah.
any Zelda creator, they're all like super awesome people.
It could have totally gone a different direction too, like, oh, my video is better, my theory, listen to this theory, but they all mention each other. We all mention like, oh, so-and-so had a theory on this, you should watch it, it was great.
Yeah, you never see a community.
Like, we all
creators
just love Zelda.
just absolutely plug each other constantly, like you do in the Zelda community. I love it.
I love it.
Speaking of the Zelda community, yeah, everybody and their dog has had analysis videos come out. They've all been. I didn't make one, but they've all been a joy to watch. I was shocked that actually Geek was the first one to get hers out. Like,
I was too. I was like, we're doing this now. You got work in an hour. Go.
go. Love that.
My mama, she called me and she is. I don't want to get us too off track. I'm sorry, especially because I can't always stay long on Tuesdays. But
Right.
she calls me and she's crying, laughing. I'm like, what are you laughing at? She goes, your analysis video. And I was like, what about it? She was like, the whole thing is just you going, what is that? What is that? And I was like, that's not true. And I go back and watch it. I'm like, yeah. It's me just going through every frame going, what's that?
Right.
And someone commented, they were like, I appreciate that you're not presuming to know anything. And I'm like, well, I don't.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I had a coworker once at an old job of mine who sometimes she would ask me questions and I would answer honestly. If I didn't know, I'd say, oh, I don't know, but I'll check. I'll find out. And then one day she was like, how come you always say that? You're always like, I don't know. And I'm like, because I don't. I'm just being honest. I'll find out. But I'm not going to lie to
I
you.
put my foot in my mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. So I appreciate that approach, honestly. Yes. Jesse, your analysis video was also superbly in depth. Yes.
Thank you. I really loved all of the super duper nice comments that I received on it. It was like, it was filled with the nicest comments that I've ever seen and the most nice comments that I've ever seen. So I feel really good about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's also good that people weren't just commenting being like, this is clickbait, because sometimes they'll go through the channel comments and I'm shocked that you'll put out a video being like, here's the rumor, it's probably fake, and then people are like, this is clickbait garbage. And it's like, did you watch the video? You just saw the title and commented
no.
that. Yeah. People on the
So annoying.
internet.
Yeah, there was a bunch of comments that were like, I've watched a dozen of these videos and this is by far the most in-depth and best and blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so nice. I wish other people would think that. And then there was just like comment after comment saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, it's so good. Because I worked on the video for like way too long.
I feel that. I feel that.
Like, I stayed up all night, and altogether, like, just the video editing part was like 14 to 15 hours. Like, not writing or editing the audio or anything, just editing the video portion.
Hmm.
So I felt really, really good that it ended up giving really good feedback.
That's awesome. Well deserved as well.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, maybe we should get into it with the
Yeah, what are we doing
actual
today, Daniel?
thing. So what I thought would be fun is if we put up the trailer on the screen here, and we kind of just picked it apart together as a group, frame by frame, threw out our own theories, our ideas together. It's kind of going to be a free-for-all today in a way, but oh, there's Midna. Oh, cat.
Wow.
She has
Good cat
arrived.
We need a cat cam for the podcast.
Yeah.
They're both here.
They're both.
Oh, there goes the
They're
second
both-
tail right across the screen.
See, one's the top of Minda's head, and then Sari's just face just like poking in from the side. Okay, I love that. Actually, my cat's in here too, but she's sleeping under the desk, so I can't. I'm not gonna just like. I did that one time on a stream where I like lifted her up to show everyone, but she was very unhappy about that.
Question is, can it hear us?
That is the question.
No, apparently Twitch was freezing earlier today too. I don't think
Oh.
they can hear us. I think the
Oh.
whole thing is frozen.
I think so.
Oh,
Ah,
no,
fudge
we
it up.
came back. Okay, we're back.
We're back. Okay.
Yay.
Well, yeah. Discord. I had tested this layout to make sure everything fit properly. It's funny, and now Streamlabs is like, no, I don't want to space it out properly. I don't want to do that. I don't want to. So that's great.
Rude.
That's just wonderful. All right.
I blame the ZOEY.
You blame the ZOEY.
Mm.
It's probably the ZOEY. Their fault.
Or it was King Daphnis. Like, get that technology out of here.
Yeah, that's probably it. How about if I just took out the overlay? Do you think that would just look bad?
It would look something.
It would look like something.
I don't know. I don't know. Then just do what feels right.
I'm just here for the ride.
Okay. All right. I'm just gonna
Big move.
We're all just here to see your face anyways, Daniel.
I'm just gonna take it out and then we're just gonna roll like this. There we go.
We could analyze your
Okay.
face instead of the layout, or instead of the video.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like, those glasses look very nice. We can start off with that.
Who, me? All right. People in chat, yes, we can hear you. Okay, good stuff. Hello. I'm not sure what happened there. Sorry about that. I think Streamlabs is just misbehaving, to be honest.
Misbehave.
Which
Be
is
like
funny
that.
because YouTube Studio keeps saying the stream status is excellent connection. Evidently not.
It's getting an
Yeah, my
excellent
OBS will
connection
flat
to the
out
Fresno.
disconnect, and it'll say you have an excellent connection. I'm like, OBS literally just said they disconnected.
Do you know what
It's okay,
excellent
I have-
connection actually means?
It's like,
I
I'm
have
not sure
my
you do.
My own stream entertainment. I put a paper bag on my bed, and Sari has climbed into it.
Perfect.
And Midna is just watching. He's watching it all happen.
Oh no. Okay. Hang on. I'm just gonna look at the stream on my phone for a sec here, and see, make sure that it is going. Okay. All right.
It looks fine.
So let's hop into
Okay.
it here. I've got the trailer up. If anyone else wants to just have it up and ready.
Yeah.
That's what I have. I have mine up.
So I thought we'd just kind of like go shot by shot and talk about it. Obviously, this first shot here, we've got this. There's a lot of disagreement about this figure that's in the carvings. Some are saying it's like a interpretation of goddess Hylia. Some are saying it's more some kind of Zonai god, or some saying it's like a shaman, sort of like headpiece.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Mm.
Let's discuss.
So something I actually didn't noticed for some reason until I guess like a couple days ago when I was doing footage for my last video was, I don't know why I didn't make the connection, but the shot at the end that has the logo has this figure in it mixed with one that you see later, the one with the hand that people are like, is that Zelda? Is that someone else? So that made me realize that maybe it's not evil, because I thought it was something evil. But now knowing that it was at the end too, with possibly Zelda, I'm like, maybe it's not evil. But maybe I'm reading too much into it, but then again, that's what we do. One other thought I had was, why is it the first thing we see in this trailer? Why did they make it the first thing? Must be very important.
Right? I think like the little, like it's got like the ears and then coming down, it almost looks like long, like hair, like long locks. So I think that it's probably some sort of humanoid. Daniel, I can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry,
Yes, you are.
I muted myself to drink some water and I forgot to unmute myself. Sorry. Yeah, they look like you said hair, but like with like those very stylized like curls almost.
Yeah.
My first instinct that jumped out at me, there's like the long, what some people are calling ears, but those long things remind me of like the Bloopies and the Lord of the Mountain, how they've got those sort of long things on their head.
Yeah.
But the more I look at it, the more I'm like, I don't know, that actually maybe doesn't feel right. Like it could be like a very stylized mask or headdress, like a ceremonial headdress sort of thing with long pieces and like dangly bits. I don't know what else to call it. Little dangly bit. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird because it really gives us this feeling that it's not human, but at the same time, it also gives me a feeling that it is human. So yeah,
Right.
I think it's definitely some sort of mask.
The thing with it being human or not is just to like the like depictions of like the other soldiers that look like they're Hylians and Moblins and like the one that people are saying is Zelda also kind of has that inhuman look to them, right? So I think it's just that quality to it is just how the art is stylized.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But I think a mask feels, or like some kind of headdress, like a sort of tribal looking headdress. Yeah. And like a lot of like...
Sorry if I keep muting myself, by the way. There's lawn people doing stuff and it's super loud.
Oh, no, you're good. No worries. There's also a lot of what looks like sort of like jewelry on it. Like you got like almost like a jeweled, like a couple necklaces or something. I don't know. It's tricky. Some Hyrule Warrior in the chat says some kind of ZOEY deity. I think that's a good possibility.
Yeah, that's fun.
Jesse, you've been quiet. I know you have many thoughts about this.
Well, I feel like most of the people watching this probably already heard my thoughts from my analysis video that I did. But the thing that I hate is there's a lot of people that pointed out like the three triangles under the eyes pointing down, thinking that it looks like Majora's Mask or something. And I'm like, no, that if you look at who people presume is Zelda, she also has that. So that's just some of the artistic things that they put into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think those are big giant ears. I think it's like a ceremonial headdress or like whatever they would use for like a ceremonial headdress for like whatever their religious things are. Like Zelda always puts on that white gown with the certain jewelry and stuff. And I think it would be something more akin to that. Especially since it seems like they're kind of praying towards the end. So, like Geek, I think it would be someone good. I've seen some people think that it was Ganondorf for some reason.
Right.
I think it would be closer to either a ZOEY type person, like whatever the ZOEY version of Zelda would be. Like Midna's the Twilight version of Zelda. This would be like the ZOEY version of Zelda, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Some people thought the figure at the end, standing next to the thing that we thought was Zelda, was Link, but Link and Zelda, which is the same person as this, but Link and Zelda are like around the same height, and this person's like 2 or 3 feet taller than Zelda.
Right. That's
Yeah.
the height difference is
This person
massive.
is huge.
Yeah, like maybe a Gerudo or someone. I don't know.
Maybe. I really
It would
think,
have to be someone of that height, though.
I really think it's most likely a new character that we haven't seen before personally. I just
was
feel like
gonna
that's sort of the safest bet. And that's often the case. Like if we recall with Age of Calamity, that was the case with Astor. Was they just ended up being
No,
a
it was Agnan.
right. People really had a lot of ideas about, maybe it's Girahim or Aghanim or what have you. But I was like, I am almost certain it's a new character, and that ended up being the case as well. But yeah, I think that's kind of a safe bet, is that it's probably just I wouldn't tie it to anybody we've seen like in the past personally.
I think a new character is a really good way to go, because like if you skip forward, everyone's talking about like, oh, there's the 7 symbols, maybe those are the 7 sages, like maybe it's going to be in relation to that and how it plays a role, right?
Totally. So we'll see. I do agree though that I think this is going to be a very important character, whoever this person is.
Whoever you are.
Yes. I guess
Gonna
I
be
need.
the great grandfather to the bloopies.
True. Maybe. you never know. All right. Well, just to scrub forward just a smidge, we've got this next scene. There's a lot of, looks like bokoblins and moblins. This is the shot that tips every person off in the reaction videos that it's Zelda. They see this and they're all like,
Yep.
moblins, bokoblins. This is Zelda.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what it was for me.
Yeah. Oh, same. So yeah, we've got the moblins here, bokoblins, some old dead people. The sort of red markings look like sort of a stylized depiction of malice to me, like all over surrounding them.
That's what I was
Yep.
gonna
That
say.
feels like maybe an obvious call out.
Coming in through with the malice.
Yeah. I also think that there's what looks like, I think these are Hylian soldiers. I've seen some people say like it can't be because the shield design's too different. But again, this is like really heavily stylized. And actually the shield reminds me a little bit of the hero's shield from Wind Waker with the sort of the way the design is, but not saying it necessarily is that. I just think it's got that sort of general look of the right Hylian, like the crest looks kind of at least a close enough approximation for this sort of stylized I was gonna say illustration, cave carving, wall carving. But what do you guys think?
Someone in the chat is talking about in the top center of their screen those weird fin-like feet. I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter, but someone was like, "That's obviously a like on like roller skates or something."
I saw that one.
Or wearing shoes, and I thought that was so funny.
I did see that one.
Wow.
It could just be like a bigger monster though, like a Hinox or something, like that's just in the group, or
Yeah.
like all their feet look a little weird and flat, right? So yeah, but I don't know.
And also, it's like so large that it's like I think it's very intentionally left out of sight on this.
I would
Yeah.
agree with that.
That would make sense. And another thought I had is because someone said like, "Oh, is this the Zonai retelling of the Calamity, like their version or what have you?" And you know how when we first talked to Impa, we have the tapestry
Yeah.
look for telling everything. This could be similar to that, and like this is their recounting. If it is Zonai, it's their recounting of what happened with the Calamity, with their artistry and their architecture. But then another thought I had, if you want to delve into craziness, which again, that is what we do.
Yes.
And it's like, well, maybe this is not even necessarily by different interpretation, but maybe the real events, if you will. Like thinking of like the Shadow Temple and all and like, oh, the history of Hyrule's bloody history, whatever. That idea of like, well, this is what the Sheikah said it was. This is what Impa said it was. This is what everyone's known it to be in Hyrule is what happened, is everyone rose up and fought against. But maybe the Zonai retelling is like, bro, no, that's not what happened. I don't know.
it's
But
one of those things.
I do
that-
like that idea of like, oh, this is just their interpretation of what happened.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like they say, like, history is written by the victors, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's a good point. Is it could very well be not necessarily a different version of events, but maybe yeah, like from their point of view, because the Sheikah tapestry is very focused on like the guardians coming in to save the day, right?
Right.
Whereas this could be sort of like this was before the guardians stepped in, before they had a solution to the calamity. You know, this bloodbath was happening or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thought as well is that we were told before the calamity 10,000 years ago that the Sheikah built the guardians and such as like an anti-Ganon defense mechanism because they recognized this cycle and that it had happened like numerous times already.
Mhm.
So this could be even a different calamity that had previously occurred and
True.
devastated the kingdom before the Sheikah were able to develop their technology. Maybe. Just spitballing. We don't know for
Yeah.
I
sure.
think that's someone was actually saying that in chat. They looks like it took place in an era. Son of Thor takes place in an era of chaos. This is the first appearance of malice. That's what they believe, which is kind of fun.
Maybe. Maybe.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is an older depiction as well. Some people think that it's showing like the person that people think is Zelda that's in the next scene. They think that, well, that can't be Zelda because Zelda has short hair in this game. And I've seen a lot of comments on my video like that, where a lot of people were interpreting it to be like events that's happening right now or something. And I'm like, well, these carvings would have had to have been done a long time ago because
Yeah.
like they're not going to rush down into a cave and start carving.
Quickly, they're coming. Quick,
Right.
get that.
Oh, no.
Chisel it faster.
But I do think it
Make it
is.
accurate. You made her hair too long.
Yeah.
I do think it is Zelda, like Zelda and Link going through the cave that we see them walking through,
Hmm.
and because we do see like the little ashes and red spots coming up off of the torches that they have, and it has that glow like it's fire on the wall, and it could be like people whoever were responsible for sealing Ganondorf ended up telling the story of how he was sealed on the cave while they're walking towards it, or like on the way out that way. If someone discovers it or discovers Ganondorf on their way to discover him, they can look at the wall and see the story of what happened.
Yeah. It also there's
Mhm.
also a chance that it's not actually a retelling of history, but like more of a prophecy type thing where
Yeah.
it could be that like this is something that's gonna happen, maybe, or that there's a chance of it happening unless intervention occurs.
Yeah, like maybe they're like, we got him sealed, but if you
Yeah.
guys aren't careful, this is what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Ganondorf
Or if they
was
are
going to
evil,
intervention.
then it's like, haha, this is what's gonna happen. But
Like it's worth a mention that
Also, it's one of
bokoblins
those-
here have the longer horns like they do in Tears of the Kingdom, not their short little
Yeah.
horns in Breath of the Wild, right?
Mhm.
I don't know if that means that they're stronger in this game or not, or what it actually means, or I mean, it could again just be like a stylized choice for the sake of the art,
Yeah.
but
and some people have pointed that out and then said, oh, that means those scenes that we've seen with the bokoblins and moblins with longer horns means it takes place during whenever this was built. So that's been thrown out there too.
that feels like a stretch to me, like a
It's
reach.
not like they're, yeah, it does feel like it. I'm like, they're not, Nintendo's not adverse to time jumps,
Mhm.
but I'm not like, oh, that's definitely what it is. I'm like,
I think
I
the
can see
only
it.
time jump thing we'll see is if it's playable. I think it would be something like Twilight Princess, to where like here's the door you go through and it's like the ruins of the Temple of Time suddenly become fixed and that's it. Or cutscenes. I don't think it's going to be anything like Majora's Mask or Ocarina of Time or Oracle of
Mhm.
Ages and stuff, to where you're actually jumping back and forth through actual time periods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. I think I wouldn't be opposed to like time travel happening, just for me personally, I haven't seen any evidence that actually like makes me think that's the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I just feel like it's like if it happens, and that's great, but like nothing. I haven't seen anything to prove that's the case.
It's just
And
surprising 'cause
something,
there's so much talk of it right now. Of there being potential.
There really
for time
is.
travel.
Yeah, I do
And
think
that's kind of been around for a bit. But something someone pointed out is it's a huge stretch because we've seen fallen parts of the islands in those shots as well. I didn't even catch that, so that's good to know. So apparently those shots with the moblins and bokoblins, you can see the chunks of the sky, which you've seen in quote unquote present, if you're going by that logic.
Right. Yeah. and it's happening in the Hyrule that we know, which is like the present day as well. So yeah, that's a good point. Should we scrub forward or any other thoughts about this, Jesse? Sorry.
You can scrub forward. What I was going to say don't really have anything to do with this. Just the time thing is, we do know that there will at the very least, be some sort of cutscene or something that takes place long ago, because the voice actor in Italy for Daruk said he was going to be back and he would be voicing some sort of ancestor, which I just took to mean that he would be voicing like the original champion or whatever,
right.
And it would be showing a cutscene like that, not that we're going to be going back
Maybe,
and
like,
talking to them.
Memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something I want to point out as well about the time travel theory, and I'm not going to say who it was, because I don't want anyone to get in trouble. But what I will say is I noticed on Twitter that someone tweeted about the sequel, or about Tears of the Kingdom, and basically their tweet was like, stop saying, or like that that there's two versions of Link and that there's time travel. It's clearly still Breath of the Wild Link in a different outfit, right? And someone who I know, I don't like know them personally, I've never met them per se, but I've interacted with them online, and I know that they are involved in the making of these games to a limited capacity, liked that tweet. And they could know nothing about it and just be agreeing like with the sentiment, or that could just be confirmation that, sorry, no, there is still just one Link in this game. So that's that's a thing that
it's
I saw.
one of those things that it's one of those things that, and I know everyone does their stuff differently, and I'm not poo-pooing anyone,
right?
You know, wanting to get creative. I put crazy stuff out there too, but I feel like for me, there's one thing to say like, ooh, maybe it's time travel, maybe it's two Links, but logically it's probably this, and another thing to be like, no, it is this because of A, B, and C, and really, really tiny bits of possible evidence. It's like, can't you just at least say what probably logically is? Because I never thought there was two Links until I saw stuff, and then I know I did make a video at one point. I'm like, a lot of people are saying this. I don't think so. But I was like, I didn't even think that. I was like, why would it be a different Link? But that's just me. Not saying people aren't allowed to have theories. I just kind of, I don't know. I'm always that person that's like, it's probably not, but that would be fun.
It's like, I shared my video that I had made a while back, titled "So You Want to Make a Zelda Theory." I reshared that recently because and the point of that video is not to discourage people from making theories. It's to teach people like a better approach to making good theories, if that makes sense. Or what I think is a better approach. Obviously, it's like sort of my method, so I have some bias, but like one of the things is like that I mentioned in that video is like, first of all, try and disprove your own theory, because if you can do that very easily, then maybe you need to rethink it. And the other thing was like, don't try to find evidence to justify the outcome that you want, basically. Like, you got to just follow, where does the evidence lead you? Don't lean into the confirmation bias and just try and find the evidence that suits your narrative, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know. That video has not too many views, but people don't like being told what to do, so I get it.
Needs more. It needs to be said.
But I still had to put it out there because otherwise, I'm just gonna be face palming all day. But yeah, let's scrub forward a bit here. The next shot is sort of a wider shot of that same person from before, and they're like standing on this platform that looks like it's like one of the, like it's floating. There's some script. Jesse, you said you had some friends working on translating this as well. Any update with that, by the way, or not yet? Not yet. Okay, still a work in progress. I've seen. I would like to point out that these sort of symbols, that's like some kind of script. They look like to me the same symbols that are in that first trailer from 2019 that are the like floating green magic glyphs. They look like the same symbols here. So it could be related to 𝗙𝗵𝗲 𝗛𝗆 or something. I don't know. But yeah, this looks like a sky island to me because there looks like clouds around her, this character here. There's the 7 like tiers, as people are calling them. And some, you know, like a pillar or something to the left side here. There's a lot.
I do want to say, people talk about the 7 tiers, but at the end, whenever they're doing that hand thing, there's 2 more tiers up above both of them. So if these are the tiers, there's not 7, there's 9.
Oh, interesting.
So
up above with the hand.
So in the last shot, at the end of the trailer?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like, it's like 2 inside of a circle instead of just the 1.
Yeah,
you are correct. There's
I
2
didn't even
more.
think about that.
There's. Oh.
But that could also be talking and maybe like a referral back to the importance of that marking, right?
Right. Or it could be that there's still 7, but if again, this is a reach, if these are meant to represent 7 sages, it could be in reference to that these are 2 of them. One is, because we know in Ocarina of Time, Zelda is the 7th sage, right?
Right.
So if that's Zelda and then this other person being like one other sage or person that of importance, or it could be that there's 9, not 7. That's interesting. I didn't pick up on that. My bad. good.
It also makes me wonder, if we're thinking like 7 sages, does that mean 7 dungeon-esque things?
I've seen that going around too.
Please. I want some dungeons. Some really good. I like the Divine Beast, but I have been craving that classic Zelda dungeon experience.
Did anyone happen to see the video that I last put up?
Which one? The
one that I was saying that I wasn't there when we cracked that theory?
But yes, I did watch it,
the
Jesse.
clickbait thumbnail.
Maybe, yeah.
I was asking which one, but I realized I watched
There's
all
so
of them.
much that I still need to watch.
There was something later that goes into the whole temple thing that is an idea that I have, but I think is really, there's a really strong case for it because I did maybe too much research, and then I got tired of doing research and I just like broke into Miyamoto's house.
Right.
So. Yeah.
As one does.
That's just normal stuff. But
yeah, because at first he was like, "Oh no, it's that guy that was with Daniel." And I'm like, no, I hate Daniel too. Just tell me your secret.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will say like that these like there's like this pillar on the left side and this platform that this person's standing on. And like I just think it's a depiction of the Sky Islands.
Yeah.
I think the pillar
obvious.
is the ZOEY towers that we see in the concept artwork.
Yes, I think those are coming back because we'll get like pin that. We're gonna come back to the ZOEY tower thing because I think there's one in a later shot. So we'll just keep that in the back of your head here. But any thoughts about this person? We already talked about this person a lot in the last shot we saw them, but
yeah,
I think
they are clearly important because they show up 3 times in the trailer.
The platform they're standing on, I think, is like their version of the platforms we see the monks praying on inside the shrines. And then I think because we see all the jewelry on the arm, and I think that is a stylized depiction of the jewelry that's on the hand that's holding down Ganondorf, because it also has like a really big hand and fingers and the jewelry that goes halfway up the arm.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
I don't think it's a deliberate reference to it, but it does, like, just this scene does remind me of the prologue to Skyward Sword, when we see Hylia raising Skyloft into the air. There's sort of just this divine imagery here that reminds me of that. I don't think that that's what this is referring to in universe, but it's at least like a visual parallel, because there's even like what looks like, at first I was thinking rain, but maybe it's rays of light sort of shining down on either side.
Yeah.
And then the tears are flowing.
You're a ray of sunshine.
It again, I don't think that this is like a retelling of Hylia raising Skyloft. I just think it's a neat visual parallel. That's all. So
That went like right over Burger's head.
sorry, which?
You just got complimented by Jesse, and you just like kept talking.
Oh, so I was just
Geeking
in
everyone-
denial
Yeah.
because Jesse never compliments me. So sorry.
Well, after I heard the stuff Miyamoto said about you when I was over at his place, I feel like you needed to be
I need
complimented.
I need a bit of a yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so this is a big one. This next shot, we got this person that's keeled over backwards, floating. Obviously, like, I think we're all pretty much in agreement on this one that it looks like a depiction of at least
Dehydrated Ganon.
A is not. No. Some people are saying that, but I think Zelda is the most likely, at least a Zelda, not
Zelda.
necessarily our current one.
It's
Yeah.
Zelda in the pose. It looks like the pose of like she's either falling down or like at the end of Skyward Sword when Girahim and Demise is like raising her up and she's in that
Mhm.
pose.
Mm-hmm.
And,
HK
uh,
posted something really interesting thinking about that that scene the other day. As
Oh.
he was like, I know you guys were all thinking that it was this scene from Skyward Sword, but what if it was this scene? HMK tweets too much, I can't find it.
The HMK does tweet a lot.
So what he was thinking, the second example was in Twilight Princess when Ganon had like taken over Zelda.
Uh-huh.
She was like a puppet. Yeah, so I thought that was really interesting, seeing how other people are interpreting it.
I agree.
What I thought was funny is I seen a few people that had said this was Zelda, and then the person at the end of it that's doing the hand thing was Ganondorf, and I'm like, if one is Zelda, then they both have to be Zelda, or they both have to be Ganondorf, because they're dressed exactly
like-
the same, and they're
yeah.
wearing the like.
Right.
So
just-
something I want to point out, there's like a couple lines of malice like beneath them, like that's like reaching up.
I just
Yeah.
noticed that.
Yeah.
I think that's the malice that we see at the beginning, because we see it going up, but we don't see the top of it. We just see where it ends on the left side,
Right.
and I think that is the end of the malice that's going up.
Yeah.
So this would be like right above that picture.
Yeah. Something I wanted to just find real quick here. I'm just gonna open up the first trailer from 2019. There's a shot here in this early trailer of what looks like what I think is like Ganondorf on horseback. They've got the trident. It's again also very heavily stylized here. And next to
Yeah.
what we're assuming is Zelda in this shot, there's a figure standing over them. You can see them
Yeah.
on the right side there.
Mhm.
And comparing, it's obviously not like 1-to-1 because they're both really stylized. Really, it's kind of hard to make out.
And they
But
could
I
have
think
changed stuff in the first trailer by now too.
it could be like a depiction of Ganondorf or some evil figure, maybe. Or
But you-
Yeah.
actually, if we go back a little, I'm just yeah, I don't think it's the big like the Zonai character with the headdress, because if you look at like the way their skirt or their outfit is, it's different than this, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's got my brain going.
Mhm.
I just definitely I understood where people were coming from, and they're like, "Oh, it looks like the same pose as dehydrated Ganondorf," and I'm like, "It just looks feminine." And especially when you point out the malice underneath and the figure on the right, it's like it looks like all those depictions we have of Zelda having her soul taken from her in both 2D and 3D games. The amount of times people have tried to possess and take over Zelda,
Mhm.
it just rings of that. And like was pointed out earlier, it's the same figure as later uniting hands with that weird shaman thing.
Mhm.
So it's like, for sure, it's feminine.
Yeah.
And she even has those weird eyes that people say look like Majora's Mask, so that shows you that it's not
Yeah, I think it's just meant to be like eyelashes, really. But like,
so
Yeah.
too. I think those are eyelashes.
yeah.
I just hated seeing those comments. The same as people that are like, "Oh, there's 2 links."
There's yeah.
I'm like, no.
We'll
it's
get
over
more
there now.
into the disproving the 2 links thing in a moment as well, because like there's a lot to disprove that.
Link can take his hair out of the ponytail, you know.
Hey, that's true. That's like
And
I
it'll
had to
look
dig
longer.
up from like last year. I had to dig up 𝗟𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗆's tweet where he shows the side by side of Link's hair in the first game, and he's like, Link's hair has always been this long. That's so. I went and dug that up and retweeted it again, but yeah. So yeah, this is the next shot. There's the same figure who we're pretty sure Zelda. Another reason why I don't think it's Ganondorf is it's clearly the same figure, and they got those long pointed Hylian ears poking out between their hair. You can't see it in the oh no, you can. Yeah, in both shots you can see the ears. And Ganondorf has round ears, not pointed ears.
Great point.
So there is that.
Because he's Ordonian.
No,
Okay,
because
but who is she touching hands with? Show
actually,
me the other person.
fun detail
It's
is that
it's the guy at the end. It's
In-
the shaman
It's
guy.
the shaman
Yeah.
thingy.
in Breath of the Wild, in previous games, Gerudo had rounded ears. All Gerudo, including Ganondorf. In Breath of the Wild, they have pointed ears. And I think it's actually explained in Creating a Champion that the reason is it's just been like thousands of years of them interbreeding with Hylians because they have to. And now Gerudo have inherited the pointed ears trait, but they didn't inherently have that before, which is interesting. But Ganondorf, in even
means
that
they can
first
hear
trailer
Hylian.
from before, I'll pull it back up on screen here. This dead guy Ganondorf, where are they? There he is.
Dead guy
Rounded
Ganondorf.
ears. Rounded ears. So, yeah, they're pretty deliberate with that. I think. Yes.
Yep. I did always wonder, completely side comment,
Mhm.
why the Ordonians had round ears. Like, I mean, they're not Hylians.
So
I always thought that was weird.
I actually had a conversation with Lohrulian historian about this a while back. Like, I don't remember how long ago, a long while back. But I think the lore reason is that the Hylians are sort of like the Zelda version of like the chosen people, basically. So
Yeah.
they're sort of like their own race, and humans exist out in the world. You see humans in like Termina and Ordonians are just humans rather than Hylians. So it's there's like a very slight difference, very
Yeah.
minute difference there.
So I was trying to think back, even to Skyward Sword, they all have pointed ears, don't they?
They do, but they're all
I thought of it.
Skyloftians, right? So
I always thought of it like
Yeah, which
humans and
becomes the
elves
Hylians.
in Lord of the Rings. Like there's humans and then there's elves.
mhm.
No,
And I
okay.
think one of the games says that their pointed ears allow them to hear
You're
the goddess.
Yeah.
Yeah, the goddesses. Or
But
whatever.
is that like an actual thing, or is that just like them, like their propaganda in universe? Like they're like
we're
they're
better than you. We can hear whispers.
they're sort of like their justification of like their race being superior. Like in this isn't in recent times, but like historically in real life, there's been like people who try and make scientific justifications for like racial supremacy or even sexist supremacy, where it's like, oh, well, scientifically women have smaller brains, so men are better, and that's obviously not true. But that's something that people have tossed around. So maybe in the universe they're like, oh, well, Hylians are better because we have pointed ears, we can hear the gods, and you humans can't. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking this.
Oh my God.
But
Well, speaking of overthinking, I did wonder, I was like, because I had noticed, yeah, the Gerudo in Breath of the Wild have pointed ears, which, yeah, logical reasoning, the breeding, naturally, they were going to inherit traits eventually. But I knew about the whole hearing the goddesses thing. I was like, I wonder if that's a sign that they're becoming better because they don't affiliate with Ganondorf. They don't like him. So they're like, nah, we don't listen to y'all anymore.
Maybe, though, because even in Breath of the Wild, when Urbosa mentions Ganondorf having taken the form of a Gerudo, it's with resentment, you know? It's
She's like,
not something they're proud of.
No, I hate that exists.
Yeah, it's not something they're proud of. So yeah, that's a thing. So, all right.
Russell Williams, Hyrule apologists. We are Hyrule apologetics.
Yes. Oh no.
That's funny.
Oh dear. All right. Well, let's see. The next shot is a little more exciting. We got this big door with some dragons smooching on the door here, and some cool, nice swirly patterns, and Link busting this door open.
I have a couple of things to say.
All right, say them.
Did the dragons like hitting each other is like the opposite of the shield on the first game? I've seen some people point that out to where like they're facing each other instead of pointing away.
They made up.
And then I think this tower thing is a door to one of the themed style temples, and we'll see when he runs out. He's running towards in Japan and some of the surrounding areas. They're called Torii gates, and they're at the beginning of. They're supposed to mark the transition from like a mundane place. This is what the definition says from my memory. The transition from a mundane place to a sacred place, and I think when you get close to them with one of these tier things, it like opens up the portal so you can go from wherever this is located to like the normal areas that we see on the Sky Islands that have all the random Torii gates. Right. And in Japan, the Torii gates are like in front of shrines or temples and other stuff. And the temples are like each temple is supposed to house its own god or goddesses or deity or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's other things close to it or other objects that are supposed to be able to house the power or whatever of certain gods or goddesses around the temples. And I think that's where like the green robot dude in the one trailer, and then because we see him next to one of the shrines and the bracelet and stuff, because there's like certain special objects that are supposed to be able to use, or that the gods are supposed to be able to use certain objects to do whatever. And yeah, like it all just like perfectly syncs up with each other.
Right.
So
I think that's a good point, though, is that Zelda is no stranger to borrowing from Japanese Shintoism. And I think we're gonna, like with the Torii gates, like you said, and all these depictions of dragons and stuff, like I think we're gonna be seeing a lot of that in this game. Yeah, which is kind of, I think it's cool. It adds a sort of a unique flair to the game, or to the lore especially. There's also where the platform he's running out to has sort of two on either side, like two dragon head sculptures here. I've seen some people say that it looks like Farosh specifically because of the way the horn is shaped on the top, the single horn that extends up. But Jesse found a dragon in a later shot that is not Farosh. That it could be that there's a dragon that lives up around in these Sky Islands, or multiple dragons, so it could be a different one.
I think it's multiple other dragons, because we, in all of the ZOEY symbol things, like on the logo, there's 2 dragons, not 3. If there's 3 dragons, you would expect it to be those 3.
Right.
But for some reason, why would they pick 2 and leave 1 out? So I think there's going to be the 3 dragons that we already know that we can see flying around. I think there's going to be the 2 dragons that they have as their symbols. And I think since they worship dragons so heavily, I don't think the ZOEY dragons we see are just going to be those 2. I think we'll see at least those 2. Plus others.
Those 2 maybe just being like the main ones.
Yeah.
Also, it's worth a mention that the ZOEY, and this comes from creating a champion. I'm not just making this up. The ZOEY culturally worship, or they have their depictions of, it's like an owl, a boar, and a dragon, or like a serpentine dragon. And those depictions are their interpretations of the virtues of the Triforce, the boar being power, the owl being wisdom, and the dragons being courage. And so yeah, obviously, like the dragons being sort of associated with Link on his quest, I think makes a lot of sense. Of course, he embodies courage, so as you know. So yeah, I thought that was a really interesting detail on it. But mostly, it's interesting is that in the Zonai ruins in Breath of the Wild, you see a heavy mix of the three, but in this trailer in Tears of the Kingdom, it's mostly just dragons. So it does make me wonder if is this not just the Zonai in general, but a splinter group of the Zonai that broke off from the rest, or something else? I don't know, but it's
Yeah.
There's so many possibilities. Yeah.
I also think a reason that, well, one of the reasons that I think this is like Link goes through that Torii Gate thing, I hope that's how you pronounce it,
Yeah.
is that when we see him running out here, it doesn't let Link get close enough to where like a portal would open up. It cuts to the next scene really quick.
I know, the biggest disrespect. The next scene
And-
is like a different scene of Link running.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah.
people thought it was the same,
And-
but the building's not behind him. It's just clouds.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, he's in
And
It just
we see
disappears.
it's right here. It's just like a narrow path with absolutely nothing around.
Yeah.
And I think that's a clear sign that, like, since the only thing, like, literally the only thing that's there is a narrow pathway that leads to a Torii Gate, clearly you go through that and then something else happens.
Right.
Because I don't think, yeah.
Now,
I think it does take you to where we show him at the next time,
right.
like in the next scene. I think it does take him there. And also, if you remember in the first couple of trailers, everyone's like, oh, you don't see Link's face, blah, blah, blah. That means, like, his face is going to be damaged or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
no, I think now that we know that thing is where the Sheikah Slate used to be,
Mm-hmm.
like the same, like we don't see it here really, but we just see like the back of him. And it's not because they're trying to hide his face. I think we only seen him from that angle because they were trying to hide that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were
Actually,
trying to
that's a
hide
good
what's on
point.
his
They're
hip.
trying to hide the thing on his hip.
Yeah.
Counter theory
Mhm.
about the Torii Gate. Rather than him running to it and it taking you somewhere, I mean, he could just be running to like there's a ledge ahead as well. He could be running to jump off or something. But later, just to come, like we see those sort of swirl things on the ground on the surface of Hyrule. And
Mhm.
what it reminds me of is well, several things. Obviously, like the Ganondorf, the swirls above him in the first trailer.
The Nana sandwiches.
But also in Minish Cap, there are similar looking swirl things that would sort of like Link could use the hat to like parachute with, and it was like acted like an updraft basically, right? That Link could get into the air and like glide around with. So what if these are like some kind of magic portal, and the Torii Gate is not the way to travel to another place, but it's where these warp points on the surface will drop you in the sky. Like you use it in the surface and it teleports you up to a place in the sky, and then that Shinto Gate is where you're emerging into the Skylands rather than going from somewhere in the Skylands to another place in the Skylands. Because you mentioned it marking like a point of transition from mundane to sacred, right?
I thought of it as, in my mind, I thought it was like there's all of these islands with the Torii Gates up
right.
above the clouds, and you go through that, and it takes you to like an alternate location in the Sacred Realm or somewhere like that. Instead of,
Cool.
yeah, like take you to because it's the definition. If we're being literal, like it marks this sacred place, and like there's literally the Sacred Realm
Mhm.
in Zelda. So I was like, well, that is a literal direct definition of it. So, but whether or not it's that, it could be like a Zonai realm or some other, because there's thousands of different realms in Zelda apparently. But I think it could take you to like a different realm entirely where these temples would be.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
And then that's like the giant doors that we see marks the
See, 'cause
whatever these Zonai temples would be.
I think I agree with the door part of that. My thought was that this shot of him coming out is like he's finished in the temple, so he's emerging back out.
Mhm.
And the Torii Gate, like he teleported to there from the surface and went into the temple, and now like earlier, and now he's coming back out. And the Torii Gate's there because that was like almost like a fast travel point of sorts. That was my train of thought. Thing is, we don't actually know, but
Yeah.
So either of us could be right or wrong.
If only we knew people, but you had to upset Miyamoto.
I had to. Yes.
Yeah.
Tube left, but we got 𝗟𝗃𝗀𝗃 now, so it's actually 10 out of 10 podcast. Also, his shield is the one we saw in a previous trailer when he was in the sky. Again, more evidence towards it not being a second character, but the same Link. And then the next shot it flips to his front view. So he's got the vials. He's got the magic hand thing. Big piece of evidence people were saying was, oh, every time we see him in the sky, he's wearing this outfit. And every time we see him on the ground, he's wearing this outfit. Well, now he's wearing the champion's tunic and he's in the sky. So there goes that evidence. Am I right?
Yeah.
He has.
Yep.
I would like to point out he has blue earrings, as we can see here. But here in this shot, he has glowing green earrings, the same as the vials he has.
Oh. Do you think it's just the lighting, though?
It would be shiny blue instead of shiny green. And he can change his earrings with different armor sets anyways.
That's true. That's true. It could have
But
nothing
for some
to do with
reason,
vials. It could
this
just
is...
But yeah, his hand here as well. He's got the bracer and like his sort of, I keep calling it his mangled hand, but he's got the new hand here in his champion's outfit.
What's the correct term for it? You can get a bracelet or a gauntlet, and I don't know what the correct term would be.
Bracer, even, maybe? I don't know. I'm not sure.
I forgot. It's been a while since I played Final Fantasy, so I forgot bracer was a word. Because that's where I know that word from.
Fair enough. But yeah, he's got his magic hand here. So these vials, I think we all have some different ideas about this. Geek, why don't you go first? What are your thoughts on this thing on his hip here?
I keep changing.
Okay,
Because someone pointed out in chat earlier, they're like, there's 8 vials. Because my original thought was like, oh, you're gonna collect 7 tiers from 7 dungeons, and I was like, there's 8 vials. But you're collecting something glowy that's magical. Is it, because it's that same coloring as the stuff with the hand? Is it what keeps his hand powered? If, something's up with his hand, obviously something's up with hand. There's something with his hand. I feel like I have a lot of thoughts, and I'm like, they all seem feasible. I'll find out May 12th.
True. We will find out May 12th.
I think the vials are like the liquid form of the green glowy rocks we see in the first trailer. And it also is what helps fuel the magic of the Zonai hand thing that we see. Which is why I think sometimes we see Link's hand and that other hand, and it's all super duper glowy and everything. But here it's like he's not using it, so maybe like the magic's run out, so he needs to use more of that stuff.
Maybe.
And I think that's why the hand is so bright and powerful in the trailer to hold down Ganondorf, because it's surrounded by all the rocks that it's using the energy. So I think, like in the first game, how the Sheikah Slate was originally meant to have its own sort of magic bar from the blue liquid that was under the ground that we used to power the tech labs, but they ended up taking that out. And I think that is the same thought with this, to where these vials is just going to be like a magic meter, and instead of it powering some sort of technology for you to use magic to have like the Sheikah bombs and everything, where it just gave you like a cooldown time limit for those instead of making you collect the different vials with the blue magic liquid. I think that is the same concept as this, but instead of it powering some sort of Sheikah technology, it's just powering the Zonai hand.
Another thought as well about it when it glows. I mean, I have the trailer from last year here as well. Is that in that trailer, when Link's doing this sort of like ability to like dive upwards and clip through the ceiling, his hand is glowing while he dives, and then when he finishes the move, it goes back to not glowing. So my thought was just that it glows when he's using certain abilities, and then this is its sort of like dormant look where it's not glowing at all when he's not using its powers. But yeah, it could be that he needs these as like a resource to consume to use those abilities, and he keeps them, you know, handy on his hip there, just for easy access.
Yeah, like
makes sense because he doesn't have the Sheikah Slate anymore, but he still has abilities, so he's using his hand instead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we saw that in the trailer last year as well when he does the time reversal move. Where is it here?
Yeah.
And his hand glows, like it flashes with like a golden light, and it glows.
Yeah.
And then that time reversal.
I think those come from the different medallions he can like put on to the top of the glove, because he has different symbols that you can see at certain times.
True.
And I think the green stuff powers like the green magic we see, and then those different tablets are the golden powers. In the same way that we had champion abilities, as well as the Sheikah tech runes. So there's like 2 different types of magic abilities he had, and I think that's the same thing that we see there, to where there is the call it the goddess abilities, or the whatever that's more related to the golden power, and then the Sheikah abilities that's more related to the green power.
I think it's mentioned as well that you said the Sheikah abilities. I don't think we're going to see anything Sheikah related really. Like we don't see any of the towers or shrines. I think Breath of the Wild was the game to explore the Sheikah, and I think this game is going to be they're going to just set all that aside, and there might still be like Kakariko and the Sheikah existing, but I don't think we'll be as heavily exploring like their powers and their technology and stuff like that. I think ZOEY is really going to be at the forefront of this. So
the top of the vial thing he has looks like the green robot that was in the second trailer as well, like the head of it where it has the different things.
Oh, the sort of like bronze material that's at the top.
Is it bronze?
Those, it looks like a bronze or like
that green robot thing that like stands up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but hear me out. What if to use
it's
do you guys ever play BioShock?
Yeah.
Okay. So in that game you have like a this just made me think of it, like your hand, you can use like certain abilities, like I don't remember what the term in game is, but you can use like elemental powers.
Remember, you get like injected with stuff.
Yeah, and to use it, you literally have to like syringe and like inject it into yourself. And I'm like, please don't make us like have Link taking out a syringe and like, or those things are being like syringes and he's like jabbing it into his arm and then he's able to use it.
Actually,
like
it was a syringe, and the Sheikah vials you got were a syringe, but you would inject it into the tablet instead of yourself. So it's kind of funny.
Just to interrupt, sorry, Helen Hylia donated $5 super chat. Thank you so much. And they asked, what types of Zelda projects do you all think might be in development beyond Tears of the Kingdom? I hope it's not another 6-year wait.
A lot.
I agree with that. I hope it is also not. What do you guys think? Beyond just this game.
I have no idea. But just FYI, I have to leave in like 10 minutes.
Oh shoot. Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we'll see some 2D remakes after this just to hold us over until the next big thing, but that's me.
2D remakes for sure. Can't really think of anything else that they'd be doing right now. Like, it's so weird because like I think our brain space is so occupied by Tears of the Kingdom that to like imagine them working on other side projects right now is like, how dare you? You have one baby and one baby only. You're not allowed to work on your other babies.
I mean, I think they'll outsource those to like Grezzo or Tantalus or something, right? But yeah, I agree. I haven't even been thinking about it because this has been on my mind all week. So
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Jesse, what do you think?
Well, they have Grezzo, they have Tantalus. They're going to continue doing remakes. I think that's kind of obvious, and it's like, what are they going to do? Those. I think Grezzo. I still think they're doing the Ocarina of Time thing, But with Tantalus, I think they would be the ones that would be most likely to be doing the ports of the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess and everything, because that it just makes sense. But the longer they wait, the more I think if they did remake them or remaster them and bring them to the Switch, they would just wait until the next console. That way, they could quickly have a Zelda stuff on it. Because even if they do release it on Switch, as soon as the next console comes out, people are just going to be saying the same thing over again. Well, we're going to bring it to the Switch too, or whatever they end up calling it.
Yeah.
Which is a... Nintendo will be like, but you were asking for it on Switch, and we gave it to you last year. Why are you like... Did you just not want it on Switch too? Or do you not want it on Switch anymore? So I think there's that. I think they're probably all the time in talks with... Because we hear different studios come out and say, like, oh yeah, we tried talking to Nintendo to do this, or to let us do this, or whatever. Like how Ubisoft was talking off and on with Nintendo for years and years, and then they finally were able to do the Mario Rabbids thing after like their first few projects were rejected.
Right.
So I think there's always studios that are talking to them, and then every now and then they're like, okay, that sounds interesting, and we get something like Cadence of Hyrule or Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, I think a spin-off is likely like that.
Yeah, I think a Hyrule Warriors 3 is definitely going to happen. Whether it's Breath of the Wild related or not, I don't know, but I do think they're going to do another one, because as successful as Age of Clans was, I can't see them not doing something like that. And I even think when Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, or not, I keep saying Breath of the Wild 2, jeez.
Yeah, same.
When Tears of the Kingdom comes out, I think we'll see some sort of DLC for Age of Clans that's related to this game. So that's my thoughts.
Good thoughts. Good thoughts. I agree. or even just like, we know they worked that Koei Tecmo did Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes after Age of Calamity. It seems like they're just kind of flip-flopping between those two franchises. They did Hyrule Warriors, then they did Fire Emblem Warriors, and then Age of Calamity, and then 3 Hopes. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if then they came back for another Hyrule Warriors game.
Make a crazy guess like we did with the Mario Battle Royale, and then they actually did that weird Mario 30 game.
Geez, I don't know.
Give us a wild guess, that way they can start working on it.
It's going to be Kirby Warriors next.
Oh my gosh.
I would love for them to revisit Four Swords and do like a fully realized, like online compatible multiplayer Zelda. I think that would be amazing.
Yes. Even if it's just a remake of like Four Swords and Four Swords Adventures.
I would love to have the ability to be able to play something that Nintendo has provided, instead of me having to go and look for, emulators and ROMs. And I know Nintendo hates it, but if you don't give me the resources, I will find ways.
The crazy thing is, they already have a version of Four Swords that works online with the 3DS anniversary thing.
Right.
And it's like, why not just take that and put it... Because we know how easy it is for Grezzo to bring like their 3DS games to Switch, because they've done it so many times. That already has online functionality built into it. So why not just... And they made it for free, so they didn't make any money off of it. It was released for free anyways. So like, you could just take that and sell it on the Switch. That way you can make money from it, and it'll be something that a lot of people would actually pay the online service for.
That's true.
Or it could be like one of those weird expansion bonus things that they keep adding to the online service.
Oh yeah.
Is this us still spiraling over our super chat talking about what could happen?
Yes. So let's move on. But...
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that we were in the same boat. I was like, what are we...
Yeah.
How did we fall off?
I got you. What's interesting is this thing on Link's hip. You can see there's like there's the vials, or what I looks like vials, sort of like in this sort of copper looking holder. There's like a green circle that's like, it looks like it's pinning it to his belt or something, but there's like a green circle with that same sort of copper outline. And
Like,
I think that's supposed to be the eyeball of the robot thing that we see that comes out and looks at Link.
oh, maybe. My first thought was it was like a button to like maybe release one of the vials or something. I don't know. I could be totally, it could just be decoration.
I don't know if you can, but if you go to my newest video, there's like a really detailed zoom in that I put through that weird program that has like a really up-resed, clear version of it zoomed in. And I really think it looks almost identical to the giant robot thing that has like the weird hands and stuff.
Yeah,
Quick
that was
thought
in...
that I probably should have said forever ago, in relation to the stream. The chat box is like covering a lot of the areas that you're trying to talk about right now, so if someone goes back to the stream to watch it, they're gonna go, "What? All I can see is Hyrule Warrior talking about games."
Fair enough. Here, I'll shift it over. I'll move it down a bit here. That's fair. Yeah, I'll shrink it up, or shrink it down, I should say.
Yeah.
Just a smidge
Also,
more.
sorry for the yawns, guys. I had the worst weekend of sleep ever, so I'm just like...
No, you're good. You don't need to apologize. Okay, there we go. I have shrank the chat box down, so apologies if it's a little small. So it's no longer covering anything up though. So, but yeah, I put the guy up on screen you were talking about, Jesse. This sort of golem looking thing, or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, it definitely like fits with
pine cones.
With the, I think they're lotus flowers. I think someone pointed that out in a video. Might have been NBC.
That's probably what they are. But when I first saw them, I was like, pine cones.
Pine cones. Yeah, I
someone
think
pointed out.
a lot.
Someone
of people
pointed them out as lotus flowers to me, because in my video I said it looked like. I've been watching too much Game of Thrones, so I said it looked like a dragon egg with the scales.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think
because the
lotus
ZOEY are supposed to worship the dragons, and that's what they looked like.
And when this trailer first came out, I think, like, I didn't know what to call it. I was like, there's weird orb things. But and I was, when I was doing
shoulder pads.
My dungeon design video for the Ancient Cistern, it's got a lot of lotus flower imagery. And then that's actually what made me make the connection. I was like, oh wait, that looks like that thing in the sequel trailer.
Ooh.
So yeah.
It would be cool if the ZOEY were actually that ancient, to where like Skyward Sword being the first game, it already has stuff in it that's like really ancient.
Oh yeah.
So it would be nice if the ZOEY were that old, where it's like, oh, you wanted to know who the civilization was that made all the ancient robots and stuff before Hyrule was made? It was these guys.
It was these guys.
Because you get down there and there's already like ancient robots and stuff, and you're like, well, who made you?
True.
No one's supposed to have been living here.
True.
Huh.
Yeah. So this next shot, or it's a continue of the same shot, Link jumps down. We get kind of a good look at some of the other sky islands around here in the background as he's jumping.
Ooh.
And there's that big building like that's dead ahead of him, which I think we saw in a previous trailer as well. But what do you guys think about all these buildings, all this scenery that's happening here?
Some people.
So I have to go like basically right now.
Okay, tell us your thoughts, and then
I
and then
don't
we'll say
have
goodbye.
a comment on this, but if I can, you don't need to jump to the scene, but if I can make a comment about something I know that's later in the trailer, you'll get to a point where like he's on that bird thingy.
Yeah.
I know I'm jumping ahead.
That's okay.
And the two things that for some reason I didn't notice when I first watched it is one, on the rock formation in front of him, well, near him, underneath him, there's like a big glowing figure, and it looks like Zelda potentially, I don't know, but what really caught my eye was way at the bottom, there's a little swirly thing, which looks like the hand thing that's on Ganondorf, but without the hand, and it also looks like how we clip up through the rocks that we see in the second trailer. So I was like, that's really interesting. I was like, what is that swirl thing? Is that what we have to go to get up to the rock formations? I was like, are there a bunch of those spread out? Because the shrines were places we could warp to get around. So it's like, well, if we don't have shrines, how are we going to warp across the giant Hyrule, also with possibly underground and above ground stuff? So that was something I found interesting.
Good thought on that little spirally thing. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, and that's makes me think like that's gonna be like a fast travel point because, like you said, there's no shrines now, right?
Yeah.
So we need some way to get fast travel. Yeah.
Right.
Especially with how big Hyrule is. But I've got to go to work.
That is
Have
okay.
fun.
You wanna tell us about yourself quickly, or do you need to like?
Oh, I am the Geek Apprentice. I have a YouTube channel that has gotten a lot of new subs in the past week. So yay! We're less than 500 away from 10,000, which is really exciting now. But yeah, I know it's crazy. But yeah, I make videos. A lot of Zelda stuff right now for obvious reasons. I don't think I need to explain that. And I stream, usually on Thursdays and Fridays at 11 a.m., although this week I'm doing Wednesday night and earlier on Friday. But yeah, that's me. I make nerdy videos.
And
Thanks,
also,
Geek.
all of
Have an awesome
the
day.
links are in the description. So go give Geek a follow.
See. Thank you. All right. Enjoy the rest of the stream, y'all.
Okay.
Bye.
Now we can talk smack. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We'll just move us around here. A smidge. There.
The thing that is directly across from Link, the big tower thing.
Yes.
Some people in the comments have said that they think that is the thing with the giant doors that Link's running out of. But whenever I zoomed in on it, it looked like it was hollow on the inside. Where like it wouldn't have housed any big doors or anything because it just looks like it's like a hollow structure with different levels.
Right. It makes me think of a Colosseum in a way, like just the way it's shaped.
Yeah.
Not the same Colosseum that's in Breath of the Wild, but a Colosseum.
When I was looking up the different temples and shrines and stuff in Japan for that religion, there were buildings like that where it looked exactly like that, but it was hollow on the inside. And I think even Fortnite has one place like that, or used to have a place like that.
Oh, really?
That was like red and for the people that played Fortnite.
Well, this game's
Not
just
that
a
I
cheap
played it, of
Fortnite
course.
ripoff. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's cool.
But not that I would have played Fortnite though. Never.
Of course not. Religiously.
Tubes wouldn't have forced me to play Fortnite and then got me addicted to it and then stopped playing it and then it made me feel all alone because I didn't have anyone to play with. She would have never done anything like that.
No, never.
All right, I'll take it. Thank you.
What if I just put this here? There. Now there's a chat box. Okay. Yeah, otherwise these sky islands with like the yellow trees, they look pretty much like what we've seen in the other trailers. It's hard to kind of discern much about the like level design or anything, as it were, from just that from just this angle, because it goes by really quick and there's only so much in the field of view. But there's a lot of these islands, and they've got, it looks like one of them almost has like some snow on it. Which...
Oh, that's the area that people were saying looks like the graveyard from Skyward Sword.
Oh, I can kind of see it, but it's like I feel like we don't see enough of it. I'll say I don't think that any of this is Skyloft. I think if this were connected to another game, it makes me think more like because this is just too many Sky Islands for it to be Skyloft or whatever. But
Absolutely.
I think the Wind Tribe, there's already a connection to them in Breath of the Wild, and or at least what I theorize is a connection to them. But the Wind Tribe in Minish Cap were like a tribe of surface dwellers who then decided, nah, we've had enough, and they literally raised their own homes and islands into the sky with their own magic, and then lived there. And so you go there in Minish Cap, and it's really cool. I think the Wind Tribe are super neat. And a lot of like the Wind Tribe's architecture and the Palace of Winds the dungeon that's in the sky in that game that you go to, there's a lot of architectural similarities to ZOEY stuff. And part of me thought that like for a while maybe there's a connection there, But another thing is there's an area called the Ancient Columns in Breath of the Wild, which is where one of the memories takes place. And that area is, I believe, to be the Wind Ruins from Minish Cap, which is an area on the surface of Hyrule. They're both in sort of the same-ish location between games. The area is called Castor Wilds in Minish Cap in English, but in Japan it's called the 𝗵𝗲 Wilds. And the Ancient Columns, which are there's very little backstory, have a similar look, and they're in the 𝗵𝗲 region of Breath of the Wild. So I think there's a connection there. So I think if they were to link this tribe, I think the more likely scenario is that this is something new we haven't seen in a previous game, that is just, or a previous game before Breath of the Wild. I think that's the most likely scenario, but I think if they were to connect it to a previous game, I think the Wind Tribe would be my candidate of choice, personally. And again, Minish Cap is a game that Fujibayashi worked on, and then he went on to work on Skyward Sword and then Breath of the Wild as well. So, yeah, just putting that out there.
I'm smiling like this because I'm looking at Taker Super Chat, $2. The Lionels get wings in this game.
No!
That is a cursed thought. I want you to take that thought and I want you to put it in the garbage so that way Nintendo doesn't see that you had that thought and I put it in the game because I'm terrified.
Honestly, if they did that, I would be so down. I love a hard fight. I love a hard fight.
You would be like minding your own business and then it would be like, oh, a Lionel flying down from the sky to... You know?
Yes. I'm ready.
I see it.
Especially if their accuracy is as good as it is in Breath of the Wild and they just snipe you.
Oh my gosh.
Natsu said Dark Nuts riding on the backs of flying Lionels. Yes.
I don't like it. Cursed imagery.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes, please. Should we move to the next shot? We're only halfway through this trailer. We've been talking so much about every minute detail.
Y'all killing me. I gotta go to school soon.
Okay, all right. Next shot is, okay, so you see Link like gliding down. You see a little bit. He's like over into top Hyrule.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Do I sound better than I did a second ago?
No, it's definitely worse.
No, I don't know.
It's definitely
You
worse.
sound
Really? It's worse now?
fine. I don't think it's worse. You're just louder.
But it's like a bit gainy.
Whoa. Okay, yeah, you turned the gain up and I heard the whoa, 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 whoa.
There's like something on my oh jeez, I kept brushing my hair out of my face, but there's like, and I was like, there's still a hair in front of me. It was a cat hair stuck to my glasses. All right. Oh yes, Bonnie mentions we didn't talk about the dragon. Okay, so right here, before we move on, behind one of the Skylands, you can see the tip of what looks like dragon tail, and a little bit behind there. Jesse's video has a much better zoom in of it.
Yeah, Jesse's got a great zoom in of it.
Because he did the upscaling, the good upscaling. But it's here. So go watch Jesse's video after this if you haven't already. But this dragon, it looks like a blue dragon. So my first thought was Nadra, but then Jesse, you were saying before that you think it's going to be some new dragons. Tell us about this, please. Enlighten us some more. Or do you have anything to say about this?
I don't know if this will be one of the new dragons. I think it's hidden for a reason. They could have just shown a dragon way off in the background.
Mm-hmm.
But they're purposefully hiding this one and showing like a little bit of the front and a little bit of the back. And yeah, I think we see the white dragons on the shield, but then the dragons in the logo are green.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if there are dragons that are specifically Zonai dragons, I think they'll primarily be green. It might fade out to like an aqua or blue color towards the tip of the tail. Mm-hmm. But some people said, yeah, this is the dragon that we already see from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, your
So-
gain is too high.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I can't hear it on our side, but when I listen to the video, I can hear it.
Oh, okay. That's why I didn't catch it either. I'll say as well, a part of me wonders if, because it's so obscured, it's like mostly behind that island. Part of me wonders if they were capturing footage for the trailer and didn't notice it, like they didn't want to show it, and it just slipped through like through the cracks. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like that's part of what I'm wondering is like, did it just kind of slip in there by accident and they didn't notice it while capturing this footage, and we caught a glimpse of something we weren't supposed to see.
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of these trailers come down to basically editing magic on Nintendo's part.
Mm-hmm.
And I had mentioned before that Nintendo is basically censoring what they want us to see. But, you know, that, like, they could be human and just either intentionally doing that or, like, legitimately making a mistake, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. An intentional tip slip.
Tip
thanks,
slip. Oh
Bonnie.
my gosh. It's just the tip. So yeah, Dragon, he's in there. But that is exciting. That is exciting. Also, it's a little hard to make out what part of Hyrule links above here.
Very, yeah.
Because it's like it barely starts to come into view and then it cuts. So like I can't really make out where he is above right now through this, on that very last like frame before it cuts, you know.
I'm waiting for Jesse to talk again so I can hear if his microphone's better.
Jesse, tell us, talk.
Yes. Hello. I'm here. This is Jesse.
What's the good word?
It's better than it was.
Okay.
It's better than it was.
Okay.
Sometimes I like milkshakes.
Oh yeah,
You
who
always
doesn't?
like milkshakes. Don't even say sometimes. That's a lie.
Well, I love milkshakes, but I'm supposed to be on a diet, so.
I understand.
Let me teach you the magic of smoothies.
Yes, I love a good smoothie.
Basically, a fruit milkshake.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the question I have. What are these sky islands going to look like when Link goes through and cuts down all these trees?
The trees will respawn. Don't worry.
You're gonna go cut all the trees down? What's wrong with you?
What if someone's like, oh, I can sell you your house back, but I need like 1,000 pieces of wood.
Oh.
Wait, I know where there's some trees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, you know what? Okay, someone said it looks like Lanero or the area near Kakariko and Hiteno. I'm actually thinking that it looks like this is like on the very left there's like maybe the Crenell Hills and there's like a body of water here, or like the Lanero wetlands. No, I don't think so actually. No, I am not sure. I have to look at this more closely, but we'll come back to this maybe. The next shot here, Link jumps onto the rock, and then that time rewind mechanic. I guess the rock was falling. Time rewinds. He zooms up it. Before he jumps, now this is an area. This is Korta Lake in the Faron region. You know, by Floria Lake, there's all those like waterfalls and those small ponds. So it's in that area. Just.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, the wall behind him, it's a little hard to make out because there's this grayscaling effect, but the wall behind him, there's a cave there. Or at least a cave entrance. That was not there in Breath of the Wild. So, and this is something that I think we've talked about before, about like how are they going to change things up? And like, yeah, adding caves into these like rock faces and stuff like that is just like a perfect way to do it. And yeah, so there is that. There is that. What do you guys think
I
about?
just remember when we watched the first trailer for this game, there was so much like potential there for us to like exploration, and like as we keep getting more and more information, like it really feels like that's the direction they're going in, and I think that's so cool.
Mm-hmm. It excites me, honestly. So
Also, I want to say, when I was looking on Nintendo's Zelda website, and I don't know what it was for, but it was in the code. It had a description for I want to say Breath of the Wild 2 again, for Tears of the Kingdom. And it said in the description something like, Link and Zelda and Link are back on an adventure exploring through Hyrule, the sky above, and beyond.
mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what is beyond?
Other than a meat substitute.
Yeah, like, does that mean, like, is that the underground thing, or is that like beyond, meaning like a separate realm or whatever?
I mean, part of me does think, yeah, like it means like these underground areas, maybe, or as one of the expanses that we didn't get in the first game.
And the clouds, whenever the thing goes up, there's a couple of people in the comments of one of my videos that said they seen a dragon flying around in the clouds, and I'm like, I didn't even see that, and I zoomed in everywhere.
Maybe they're okay. So I don't see a dragon. It looks like there's thunder and stuff, and like there's a. I think I kind of see what they're talking about. So if you guys look where I paused here, there's this sort of shape within the clouds, but I think that's just one of the sky islands, because if it's a dragon, it's not moving. It's just stationary, you know. So I think it's just the sky island. But what we do see is looks like, and we talked about this last week a bit, what I think looks like a 𝗏𝗏.
Yes, flying up there.
I used to be at 𝗏𝗏.
I think that's what Ace is talking about, the bat-like thing. I think they're talking about that thing that's flying around there, not in the clouds.
Yeah, because we did see the dragon earlier that we mentioned already, but it's not. Yeah, this is not. That's way too small. You know, I think it's too big for a 𝗏𝗄. I think 𝗏𝗏 is the likely scenario here for this guy. But it's funny, we see a lot of these.
The clouds remind you of the Thunderhound?
Does it? Sorry?
Thunderhound, but the Thunder. Oh, what was the name of it in Skyward Sword?
Oh, the Thunderdome.
Yeah.
Thunderdome?
Yeah.
Mad Max?
Or is it Thunderhead? One of those. But
Thunderhead, yes.
It does remind me of that. But
I think that we're gonna see a couple of those, though. I don't think that's the only one.
yeah, it could be that
it
like
looks pretty small.
So hear me out. There's a bunch of these really tiny sky islands, and we can't quite make out what's in there, but probably a bigger one. So it might be that that's a more important island than these other small ones, and that this is like maybe maybe a dungeon. I don't know, maybe not though. But I'm just hoping.
If it is one that has a dungeon, maybe like if you go through one of those torii gates, it warps you to the inside of it, and then you get the tier thing or whatever it is, and that opens up the space, kind of like how the tablets from Skyward Sword would open up the clouds in
Maybe
Skyward Sword.
Maybe
that would be cool. Yeah. We got a $2 super chat from Michael, who asks, "Wonder if 𝗏𝗏 would make an appearance from Skyward Sword."
I hope not. He's terrifying. It scares me.
He's big boy.
Of a giant sky whale.
I'm scared of everything bigger than me.
I like 𝗏𝗏. I think he's a cool character, but also I'm pretty sure one of the great skeletons is his. So just just put that out there. I think he did. So
and we know those deities do turn into skeletons, because when we have to like save the golden dragon in Skyward Sword, because he's a skeleton when we first see him, isn't he?
Wait, what? Oh,
the gold dragon.
Yes, Lanayru, the thunder dragon. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a skeleton. So we know the deities do turn into dragon or skeletons. They don't just.
We have to save him with the power of time travel shenanigans.
Yeah.
So then Link zooms. Then we see him climbing on the side of a sky island. Now, I saw in another video, someone pointed out that he's only climbing on the root. And so they thought maybe that's because it's like, you know how in the Sheikah shrines, the walls are too slick, you can't climb them. So I'm saying maybe these sky island walls or rock faces, it's the same, it's too slick and you can't climb them. So they have to kind of be deliberate about where they can and can't climb. And like these tree roots is like one spot where you could. What do you guys think? Thoughts? Am I over?
I say something like that in my video too, but I also say that it also could be that because we see it like snowing here, and then we also see water running off, and that it could just be super slick and slippery, where there's water and snow, and that's why he has to climb on the root. And I also think it's one of the areas that we see him when he's like gliding towards from the second trailer, where we see like the clouds and everything in the sky.
Right. Yeah. Arcade's archive brings up he rides one up in the last shot. That's true. So yeah, like you said, maybe it's maybe that one is textured enough that he can climb it, but not this one. I don't know. We also got another super chat from Michael again. What if the kingdom was Skyloft? LOL. We touched on this a bit earlier, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Looking at this part where he's climbing up the route, I wonder what the importance of it was for Nintendo to showcase this, because there's not a lot going on right there.
There's not a lot going on. Maybe it's just to be like, don't forget, you can still climb. You know?
Maybe?
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's, like, definitely there's some, you know, sky islands going on below, but you can't really make it any real details of what's happening aside from trees and bushes.
Yeah. True. And
Yeah.
I think
I don't-
maybe
I
it's
just-
to show that you won't be able to just like jump all the way up or teleport all the way up once you're on an island. You won't be able to like zoom up and then
Yeah.
get to a higher island. You have to solve it like a puzzle.
Yeah,
maybe.
probably.
Like, you have to think more deliberately about how to approach getting up to these places rather than just...
I can't just use Rivali's Gale to get everywhere? Rude.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
I
you
don't think we'll
can't
have those abilities,
jump.
right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. Because the champions at
Like,
the end of Breath of the Wild, they just, they pass on, as it were. They poof out of existence. They dust themselves, Thanos style. So,
I was mostly just joking. In Breath of the Wild, I get Rivali's Gale first, so that way I can just fly up everywhere
Oh.
I need to. That's how I do everything.
perfect.
Also, it's gonna suck not to have like basically that extra life from Mipha's Grace
Mm-hmm.
or the extra shield.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
I love that in the next scene. So I'm looking at this on YouTube because I didn't download the video that you guys have. But at this time clip, 103 to 105, where he's on the glider, YouTube tells me this is the most replayed section of the video.
You know what? That makes sense because that's like, this is the shot
There's-
of Hyrule.
Yeah, this is like there's so much going on.
So, yeah, let's talk about this because there's not much in this climbing shot other than like, oh, he's got an axe. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, 103 to 105, he's skydiving down. You see there's a lot of sky islands, and we see a lot of Hyrule here, and especially a lot of the changes to Hyrule. So where the Ridgeland Tower should be, it's gone. Of course, all the towers are gone. It looks like the lake that the Ridgeland Tower was in is empty. Hyrule Castle's raised with all the malice. People are saying that Death Mountain is erupting with malice, not lava. But I can't.
It could be malice, because if you look at the way that the malice is coming out from underneath that one island, it has a similar kind of pattern to it from Death Mountain.
That's true. That's true. The thing is, like, if something's going down at Death Mountain, it makes sense because if you remember back to like Zelda 1, that's where Ganon made his lair, was inside Death Mountain. And it's been a location that gets revisited fairly often through the series, but like Ganon's always doing some business in Death Mountain, it seems like. Whether it be a little good old-fashioned Goron genocide or just making a hideout there or something. Even in A Link to the Past, he makes his tower at the top of Death Mountain in the Dark World. So he likes that place for some reason.
Mhm.
But
It's
that
nice
would be a
and
cool
warm.
way to change it up. Like, we don't see any lava flowing down the sides of it like we do in Breath of the Wild, or not that I can make out.
Also, I feel like you would see probably ash
Yeah,
if it were like in the process of currently erupting.
that's a good point too. Because in Breath of the Wild, when it erupts too, like there's huge plumes of clouds and ash and stuff like that, right? And here there's
Yeah.
not. So, yeah, that makes sense to me. That makes sense. Jesse, you mentioned before the Zonai towers that are in Creating a Champion that didn't make it into Breath of the Wild. And I think we see one here at this mountain. It's Lindor's Brow. It's where you can, in Breath of the Wild, you can get the best horses there. True story. But it looks like there's looks like a body of water there now. And then this tower here, it's hard to make out. But I think that's what that is. I think that's a ZOEY tower. Yes. That is all.
ZOEY tower.
There's also those glowing symbol. Oh, sorry, Jesse, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, when we were on the Death Mountain, I think like all the underground caverns and stuff are connected, and that's why we see the malice coming out from the hole from under the castle, as well as I think it also reaches all the way out to Death Mountain and is also coming out there.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think that's not separate things of malice that are coming out. I think it's all like one giant thing of malice.
So he's got this like
that's
network.
all these different spots.
Again, and you made a video about this not long ago, but it reminds me of spoilers. Season 2 of Stranger Things, where there's like that underground network of the stuff.
You watched my Stranger Things
video.
Yeah, good video, Jesse. I like that. I actually need to finish watching that because I stopped watching it when you were like, okay, season 4 spoilers ahead, because I hadn't finished season 4, and then I forgot to go back to it. So now I gotta go finish that video. But
I wanted to make that video for years, and like since season 2 or season 3, and I never did. And then I was talking about it with Bree whenever the new season came out, and she actually talked me into actually making it. And I was like, okay, I'll make it for myself. No one's gonna watch it, but I will.
Right. So yeah, there's also worth mentioning. There's a bridge that is usually here in this shot that connects near that area where you see, there's that puzzle with Cass where there's all the like stones with the circles in them that you have to like shoot an arrow through 2 of them, and there's a bridge. That bridge is gone. I've noticed it's not there. That could just be a draw distance thing, but it could be that the bridge is gone. There's also this Breach of Demise. It's hard to see. It looks the same so far, but there could be something going on inside. But there's that big glowing symbol on the ground there, and then we see a second one when the camera turns over. Jesse, you had mentioned a detail about that. I don't remember what, but there's something interesting about that. So
the symbol, like if you turn it around, it looks like the symbol, or it looks like one of the stone people that we see in the stone carving. You have to like just pick your monitor up and turn it around.
Right. I'll just grab that. The whole monitor.
Come on, there are easier ways, my man.
Yeah. So both, are they the same symbol? It's hard to see because the other one, the first one that you see is like farther away. It's harder to make out.
I think that they're different.
I think they are different, but it is hard to make out.
It's really hard to make out.
A lot of people have pointed out the similarities to, like, in Twilight Princess, the portals open and there's those, like, the green, like that same green color, and there's all the outlines and designs. I think these are a little more stylized, but I see there are definitely similarities in this, like the patterning, like the very like line art with the circles and stuff. There's so much to take in here. Jeez.
Much to take in.
There's so much.
Right? For like this little like 2-3 second clip, it's like, wow.
The details, though. It's all in the details. Also, there's a huge Sky Island ahead. Like, there's a lot of these are really small, but if you pause right at 103,
that one's huge.
There's like a huge one, yeah, which is awesome. By the way, it just makes me really hopeful that, like, because at first I was thinking like, oh, all these Sky Islands they're cool, but they're really small. So I wonder like how much is really gonna be, like how much new area is there really gonna be, but. Seeing that one, it's like way off in the distance and it's that big. Yeah, that's all. Is big.
Ooh.
Is big. Anything else that you guys can spot here that's interesting? There's what looks like a house or something, or like some square building on if you go over to like 106 and pause, links on the glider here, whatever this glider thing is, looks like the same sort of technology as that as the Gollum guy in the last trailer last year.
Okay, but in the very top right corner, what's that weird circular thing on the
That's actually
stone face?
the one that's like on the cliff face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in Breath of the Wild. Actually, there's a shrine puzzle for
Oh.
that, so that's actually there in Breath of the Wild. You just shoot it like
I
a
wonder
shock
if it
arrow.
will have
at
any
it.
relevance this time.
I don't know if, or maybe it's just there like left over from the last game, but it'll do nothing. It's just there for continuity's sake. But yeah, it unlocks a shrine
Possibly.
in Breath of the Wild. But we see those windmills are still there in the Tanagar Canyon. But yeah, there's like, it looks like a building on sort of this hilltop right underneath the glider here. I don't know what that is. Some small building.
Oh yeah, there is something there. Huh.
Also, the stable's gone. There's a stable usually
Yeah.
right there. And oh no, wait, it's still
It's-
there. It's still there. Sorry.
So
Okay.
I just I zoomed in with there's like an 8K version thing that I made,
Mhm.
and I zoomed in on it, twisted it around, and it does look like a different design.
Oh.
Well, just like from what I'm seeing based on looking at the one that's like right in our view, the second one, and then looking at that first one,
Mm-hmm.
there's just from afar, like there's a couple of really distinctive kind of lines that move in ways that aren't really like the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it could be the same person, but in a different pose.
True.
Yeah.
I really have to wonder what the significance of that will be. Like, it's not just there for decoration. Like, there has to be a purpose for it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, gameplay-wise. Hmm.
It reminds me of I forgot what they're called in real life. There's like a desert that has like the giant drawings that have designs like that are stylized in the same way. But it's like giant drawings that people made in the desert a long time ago, and you can only see them or tell what they are if you're like really high up in the air.
Interesting. Oh, I've never heard of that.
It's like Nazca lines or something like that.
Hmm.
You can
Yeah,
look it
that's
up on
what
Google.
Bree was just saying in chat.
Oh,
Nazca
I can't
Lions
even-
in Peru.
that's so weird. I can't even see chat.
Oh,
Your
great
brains
minds
were
think
just
alike.
connected in this moment.
yeah.
Yeah, look it up on Google, Daniel. They look really cool. But it's
Alright.
like, they look like that too. They're not glowing. It would be cool if they were. Just get like 1,000 glow sticks and line it up.
There's a lot of the Zonai architecture takes inspiration from like Mesoamerican ancient stuff, like Bree said Aztec, for example. So I mean, like, yeah, that makes sense actually. That does make sense. What was it called? Sorry, I'm just gonna scroll up here. Oh my gosh, the chat does not want to scroll up. Nazca lines. I'm googling that right now.
I wish I could see it.
I love that, like, in the YouTube live stream, I can watch you, like, real time go, you know what, I don't like that person's message, and delete it.
They were just swearing for me. Okay, yeah, see, like, that's cool. That's what it is.
Is
Yeah.
my camera still on?
That definitely does have a similarity there. Neat. And there's even one that's a big old bird, and then we got this glider thing. I didn't say NASCAR. I said Nazca. Anyways, I said this. I made a mistake. I said the stable was missing, but actually the camera shifts a little more, and then it's totally still there. So that's cool. Stable's still there in the same spot. I wonder if there'll still be more.
Which makes me think that swirly thing is still your teleport spot, because you don't teleport right to the stable.
Right, yeah. In Breath of the Wild, it's always like there's
Yeah.
a shrine near a stable so that you can fast travel there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right. Part of me still thinks it might take you up into the sky, but double as a fast travel point to go back to if you need. Or, because the shrines were
Yeah,
multi-purpose
maybe.
as well. Like, it was fast travel and also its
Yeah.
own thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. Bridge is still there, Tabantha Bridge. There's also on this plateau here, this sort of, not the plateau, but there is a plateau here. sort of above the left wing. Not the one with the glyph on it, but I think normally there's not much going on there in Breath of the Wild. Maybe just like a stone talus there, if I'm remembering correctly. But it looks like there might be some new geometry there, like maybe some water or something. Or it's hard to make out because it's so far. But
So, because I have 2 monitors, the way that I'm looking at this, I'm like, this entire video is just gonna be like Tube's side perspective of her staring at her other monitor.
yeah. Very interesting. Of course, the area we're above right now is actually the same area that we were above in this, or it's nearby to this area, at least. They're both near the Thundra Plateau. But the Sky Islands are different here. And of course, like, things have changed since this trailer. Like, we see that same plateau here, and there's nothing on it in the trailer from last year. And then in this one, this year, now there's that huge glyph or that huge symbol there, right? So, yeah, like, when a lot of people have been like, go back and like compare it to the old trailers. The thing is that, like, development is not like a like such a set in stone process. Like, things, as they're building the game, they're changing things constantly, right? So it almost feels fruitless going back to some of the old trailers for comparisons like this, because it's like, obviously they've made changes to either the layouts of the Sky Islands, or maybe he's a little lower to the ground in this one, so maybe he's below these islands, but it's obviously they've made more changes to Hyrule in this time since they've delayed the game, you know? So yeah, anyways, thought I would just point that out there, because that's...
Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Alright, someone in the chat said that in my video, I guess because it zooms in, you can see a new stable or another stable next to the first lines that show up.
A new stable. Oh, the first lines. Oh, I see it. There is definitely... Yeah, I see it. It's really small there. Does look like a stable is there, which there is not one there in Breath of the Wild. So yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if there's just going to be more, or maybe some of them have just moved to new locations because things went down, you know, because of all this stuff. They like, okay, we can't stay here. Pack up and move.
Poor Beetle.
Poor Beetle. He's oh, not Beetle. Beetle deserves better. Yeah. Also, okay, so there was the trailer where not trailer, but you know, the delayed announcement, we see a very brief shot of Link on what looks like a circular Sky Island. And there's one here that looks like it could be any of these, but there's one here that looks like it could be that one, because it's just like this disc almost with a point at the bottom. Yeah. Makes me wonder. Yeah, we need to see more of it before I could definitively say that that's the one, you know.
So
I think it's come to clean up Hyrule.
So good.
There's so much. Okay, in the very, like, right when the shot changes to this one where Link's diving down, there's just in the very corner, in the very bottom left corner, there's like a bit of land here. Do you know what area that is, or is that a Sky Island? Because I'm like trying to think of, like, I can't think of what spot that is that's that high up in Breath of the Wild.
Well, if you look at the other island, like to the right, like it looks like it's gonna be about the same height as those like lower down Sky Islands.
So that's probably another Sky Island. Because yeah,
I also love this thing going on in the top there, the little like puzzle shaped dude. Love it.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait to climb it.
Yeah, I was like puzzle shape. Oh yeah, I see what you mean. That it makes me think again that like with an island shaped like that they're gonna force us to be more like thoughtful and deliberate about how we climb up them, because like they wouldn't just like make this shaped weird like for decoration, right? You know.
Yeah.
Someone said, isn't it Hebra? No, it's too south. Like Hebra would be more north of this spot, where this is like we're closer to like the Thundra Plateau. Between that Thundra Plateau and 𝗵𝗂, there's like a whole bunch of things. There's, you know, like a couple of areas, Lake Totori where Rito Village is, and then 𝗵𝗂 past that, right? So I think it's too close to be 𝗵𝗂. Also, it's like, it looks like a flat plateau almost, and of course 𝗵𝗂 is not really flat for the most part. So I don't know. It's hard to make out. Again, I think it's too high for like such a flat area of 𝗵𝗂. 𝗵𝗂 Peak is about as high as Death Mountain, I think, but yeah, the Thunder Plateau is right beneath where Link is. Yeah, exact, or close to it. I think he'd be above Mount, what's it called? There's a mountain. I can try to remember.
Mount Doom.
The mountain where you have to do the foot race. The foot race mountain. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you guys done that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know that mountain. I know the mountain.
Yes. I'm gonna pull up the Breath of the Wild map.
Jaker, super chats, $2. How cool would a fully voice acted Ganondorf be?
Very cool.
Man, that would be so cool.
Okay, so this mountain is called Mount Rome. It's on the Breath of the Wild map, and then if you zoom out, it's like there's all of this area between that spot and 𝗵𝗂, right? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think the elevation's wrong.
Yeah.
For it to be 𝗵𝗂 or the snowfield. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's like it's such an odd angle because we don't see Hyrule from this high up in Breath of the Wild, you know? So
yeah. It really messes up your perspective.
It does. Yeah. And then the only other thing after that is the logo, which looks friggin' awesome, and that last cave drawing. But before we move on to that, is there anything else that you guys want to point out or look at or speculate on?
No, I think we've done a really good breakdown of
we've been
4 seconds.
I think pretty thorough. Yeah, I agree. Someone said Mount Draina, but actually this is Mount Draina right here, I think. So that other spot that I was talking about right here can't be, because that's Mount Draina. And then there's the
has
valley.
Been nice to kind of like be able to break this down and not only talk about like what our thoughts are, but also like other thoughts that we've been seeing on the internet. And I'm glad that we also like know who has been saying that, so we can at least be like, oh yeah, HMK said this, or yeah, Celtic said that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I definitely wouldn't want to just be throwing stuff out without, you know, quoting the people that are putting that in their videos.
Mm-hmm. So aren't those Cornell Hills? That's on the other side of Hyrule Castle. Cornell Hills is closer to Death Mountain. The bird glider. Just a final thought about that. Do you think this is like something that just flies around on its own, or is tied to a specific quest, or is like an item Link can use, or?
It's weird because like it doesn't look like in previous scenes where Link is doing something, we can see that his hand is activated for it, and we don't see that happening here.
Yeah.
But he also like comes out of nowhere and lands on it.
He does, very deliberately. It might have just been great timing that he was like trying to land on it, and it's just passing by.
But there's also a really good chance that Nintendo has kind of fabricated this instance, and we might see that in other spaces.
True.
Yeah, like there was
because
some gameplay. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, based on the way it looks, like, it wouldn't make sense for it to be able to fly around in circles on its own, just because it doesn't look like it has that capability. Like, realistically, it would kind of just glide to the bottom and lay there.
Here's a bit of a bleak thought. I'm just looking at this, and Satori Mountain is up here in the background. And it's looking a little more, like, bleak than in Breath of the Wild.
Than it normally does,
yeah. And I'm wondering if something happened there, because I can't see the cherry blossom tree that's normally there, or like much else like of the other trees. Like usually there's quite a lot of trees on the mountain. And I know this is sort of like the rock face side, but even there's this section here, it should be all trees. It could just be a render distance thing as well. But we see a lot of other trees.
I kind of imagine that Tears of the Kingdom, I think that we're going to see a little bit more of that kind of bleak atmosphere because, you know, we're kind of coming into, yeah, we did it, Hyrule fixed, and straight into what happened.
Right.
How do we go so wrong? So I have a feeling that it could be that, and you know, Sky Islands, maybe they took it. Maybe there's a hole we don't see. Right?
Yeah. See, I was thinking initially, I was like, maybe it's just render distance that we can't see the cherry blossom tree. But then I'm like looking and I'm like, you can see all these other trees in the background and in Hyrule Field, you know? So like, and that's like an important one. So like, I think if it's gone, I think if it weren't gone, we'd see it here. Even just like a lower res or low poly version of it. So then that sucks. I love Satori Mountain. It's like one of my favorite spots in Breath of the Wild.
Maybe it will be like a side quest to restore it.
That would be
Our video
cool.
of Satori Mountain is the most recommended video that I get, and I watch it 1,000 times, and I'll still click do not recommend this video to me.
But then you keep
because
watching
I've
it.
seen it so many times, and it's still. But like, even if I click that, it still pops up in my recommended. You know, like I just.
That video lives in your brain rent free, and YouTube.
It really does. It is horrible. Not the video. The video's great, but it's horrible having to like click X on it because it pops up so many times. It's like when your favorite music video pops up, you're like, I just listened to this. I don't want to listen to it right now.
Right?
Yeah. The thing is that I can't go back to watch that video now. It's so bad.
You're a big old critic of your own work.
Very much so. I just feel like the way I'm talking in it, the way I'm delivering the script and the editing, like it could all be so much better than how I did it in that video. Like
all of my videos, including my newer videos, could be so much better. But that's just something I have to live with.
I mean, also this video is 3 years old. Of course you've gotten better.
Yeah.
If you hadn't progressed in 3 years, we would need to have a conversation.
I mean, that's true. That's a good point. That is a good point. But yeah. Okay, so final point before we finish this trailer breakdown live off here. The last shot, we've got the cave drawings or cave carvings again with that same figure and what we think is Zelda. Doing the old hand-holdy and the two tiers above them. We got the game logo with the sort of Ouroboros. You know how to say the word? Ouroboros? I know how to spell it. Ouroboros. Anyways,
I know this because I watched Full Metal Alchemist.
It was the name of a boss in Resident Evil 5.
Also, the thing on her head, or the whatever figure's head at the beginning of it, it looks like you can tell that it's a headpiece this time instead of ears because it has like the designs hanging off the side. Also, the hair that's going down the back is identical to Zelda's.
Yes. So what's interesting is the Ouroboros. Oh my gosh, this design in real life is usually one serpent eating its own tail. This is two dragons instead.
It's like when a dog sniffs another dog's butt while that dog's also sniffing the first dog's butt.
Yeah. What's interesting is I don't think that they're actually eating each other's tails. It looks like their mouths are shut. They're just like coiling around each other. To make a circle. But I do think there is some symbology here in this. Like, Zelda logos are very deliberate with their symbology, right? Like, what symbolism they use there, right? Like, Twilight Princess, again, like, you have Midna's helmet and Wolf Link. Like, that's significant to the game in a big way, right? Wind Waker, you got Boatman. And,
are you saying Link can turn into a dragon?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But, in Breath of the Wild, the big thing was the Master Sword and the Silent Princess flower, which the Silent Princess is like an allegory for Zelda's personal character arc, basically. And the Master Sword, obviously, is the Master Sword. Here we've got this Ouroboros thing. We've got this symbolism of, like, I want to say, and I'm just spitballing here, like duality, sort of like this cyclical thing going on, which ties into like the cycle of of the calamity and stuff. But actually the big thing that sticks out to me aside from that is the Master Sword's look, because it's not the same. They didn't use the same sword from like it's not the same damage that is in the Master Sword logo in Breath of the Wild.
And so I think like this marking is what everyone's gotten everyone like, oh, Twilight Realm!
Right, the way the sword looks here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can see it. I can see why for sure. Yeah. There's just a lot to unpack. Sorry. Jesse, why don't you interject here? my brain's imploding a little bit trying to articulate things, so
Maybe it just represents that you may be using ZOEY magic or whatever magic to help fix the sword. Like we see him hold the sword out and it's all damaged and he holds it up to the golden light, but maybe not just that light, but maybe something not Sheikah, but ZOEY related also helps fix the sword this time.
I agree. I also think the dragons, the twin dragons, are probably just going to be like maybe very important characters of some kind to the story.
That's what I'm thinking. I think that we're going to see, especially because we've seen it already so much in this one trailer, just all of the ways that they kind of come back into play, and seeing possibly a new dragon type as well. I think that this is gonna play a big role in this game, it looks like.
Since these two people have their hands crossed like this, and it's like going in that circle, and the dragons are going in the circle, and the dragons are over top of them, do you think there's going to be dragons to each represent Zelda and this other character?
Maybe.
Like there's dragons that represent the goddesses. Would there be like a dragon that represents Hylia?
Them putting their logo right on top of this backdrop, like, to me, it feels like a very lazy thing, like, from a graphic standpoint. I don't know if it was intentional or not.
Okay.
For me, like, visually, like, I don't think it blends very well, so I don't know if they're gonna be connected in that way.
Maybe.
Like, you think that they would do it intentionally, but you think that, I don't know. For me, it's just, like, very muddy and blurry.
I get that. The two-tier symbol above them, it is very similar to the symbol of the Spirit Medallion in Ocarina of Time as well, except that in the Spirit Medallion one is inverted, so that they're sort of like a yin-yang sort of thing. Which, in my head, and this might be a reach, it kind of represents the Gerudo having their sort of duality, in that you have like the Gerudo that follow Nibiru, who's good, and then the ones that follow Ganondorf, who's evil. And of course, there's a lot of symbolism of duality in the Spirit Temple, including the bosses being literal twins. But there's a misalignment of that duality in that Spirit Temple scenario specifically. Whereas here, this makes me think that they are aligned rather than misaligned, which is why I think that this character is not evil, like some have speculated. I think they're holding hands with Zelda. You got the symbolism. I think it's like a symbol of peace between maybe these two groups of people or something. I could be totally overthinking two little quotation marks, but I don't know.
That's the best part about this, though. Like, you really just kind of have to overthink and put yourself out there, and the game's gonna come out, and you're gonna go, yeah, that really big reach that I did was right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
The thing is, like, I don't want to overreach too much, because I don't want to, of course, like, set myself up for anything. But yeah, like, I think symbolism in Zelda has always been really interesting. Oh, sorry?
Overreaching is how you get good guy Ganon.
Oh, yeah, that is how you... That is true.
Big oof.
I don't know what else to say about this now, personally. But
also, speaking of overreaching and all of that, whenever I was looking up different definitions of like tiers and kingdom and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think kingdom is more referring to whatever this other second realm is, more so than Hyrule.
Okay.
Like if it's the sacred realm or whatever, which is like a realm of the gods, because one of the definitions is just like the land that a king rules over, but then the second definition was like more of using kingdom in like a religious aspect, and we have all of the Torii gates and everything that are going in that same direction. So I think kingdom refers to this other place, not necessarily Hyrule, but wherever, like whether it's the sacred realm or like a holy Zonai place where this other weird character person comes from. That's what I think it refers to.
Right. It could also be like a dual meaning thing. Like Twilight Princess had a dual meaning, where they kind of psych you out with the meaning. Like initially they, and this is kind of more so pertaining to the English version of the game, because there's actually a distinction in the Japanese version. But in the English version, they kind of psych you out to say Zelda's the Twilight Princess, and then spoilers for a game that's came out in 2006. But then it's revealed Midna's the actual Twilight Princess. So they kind of have a dual meaning in the title that way. And it makes me wonder if that's going to be the case here, because yeah, it could be Tears of the Kingdom in the sense of Hyrule in mourning and being torn apart, and not tears, but tears, but like it being in this state of turmoil. And it could also mean something else as well, or what Jesse said as well. It's like we don't know yet. We'll see. We'll find out. Like Breath of the Wild seemed like a title that just made sense immediately for me. A lot of people said that they had to come around to it, but for me it was like, this is the big open air game, and then Breath of the Wild, like that just immediately clicked for me, and I was like, yeah. But it felt more like it was in reference to the gameplay, like, than the story. Because if it was like regarding the story, it would have been called something like Ganon frickin' won and killed everyone. Or something like that. Or Rise of the Guardians, or something stupid like that. But it wasn't.
The Guardian.
Yeah.
Hyrule Warriors name would have been good for Breath of the Wild if they went in that direction. Age of Calamity or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. But they went more of the gameplay idea. But I feel like this is, like, I can't see how Tears of the Kingdom refers to any gameplay concepts that we've seen, really.
And we're all just guessing what the tiers are. Like, they could be called something else. Like, it could be those medallion or the spiral things that we see, like in this shot. Or it could be the weird, like, Vessel of Light, or even the thing in Skyward Sword where you had to collect the things in that other realm.
Right.
Silent realm.
True. It could be that, yeah, because in Twilight, that's interesting, is they have different purposes. In Twilight Princess, the tiers were basically the essence of the light spirits, and you had to recover that essence and restore the light spirits. Whereas in Skyward Sword, the tiers were like a deliberate trial for the hero, much like the Sheikah shrines were like a trial in Breath of the Wild, right? So,
and like in the
sorry, go ahead, Jesse.
I was gonna say, in the I can't remember the other ones, but I know in Elden specifically, whenever you get all of those things, and it turns into the symbol before it turns into your earrings, I think.
Right.
It looks like that symbol, but upside down. Like the little swirly thing. Like when you get all of them collected, it does look like that, but it's upside down.
Interesting. I thought when you collect them all, you sort of like the it's like a lotus flower that comes down, and then it opens and you get the item from it as well. Or am I thinking of it? Oh,
I used it in my last video. There's the clip there.
Oh, Arcade's Arcade. Are you talking about the Dusk Relics as well? They look similar to that shape as well. The Amber and Dusk Relics, both in Skyward Sword.
Maybe.
But upside down.
I'll find the video and look at it.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing the logo does immediately convey to me is something that I think we've all been saying since that trailer, or not trailer, but the delay announcement, was that we're gonna, like, repairing the Master Sword, I think, is gonna be a big focus of the story. My question is the Master Sword gonna actually look like that? like an energy sword like that, or is it going to be, is this just symbolic of that repair that's going to happen?
Depends if the ZOEY are involved, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Much possibility. On that note, I have to get going for school soon.
Yeah, I think we've kind of reached the end. Anyways.
Yeah, I know you guys might want to do a mailbag.
I think I might just be too hungry, to be honest, but because it's 12:30.
Oh my gosh, right? I'm like sitting here like thinking about the salad in my fridge.
We might have to shelf, if you're okay with that, Jesse. Might have to shelf the.
Yeah, we can do that. I'll do a thing on my next video where I try my best to answer some questions myself in my next video, like at the end of it or something.
Yeah, I think that's a
So,
great idea, actually.
If everyone watching this, not in the live chat, but in the actual comments of the video, go and leave a comment, and then I'll try to answer those in my next video, which will be a theory video about those medallion things that we see over the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have different ideas for that.
I love that Jesse's like wants to partake in this video idea or like in this podcast idea, but also is like holding it in a little because he's like, I'm making a video on this.
Yeah.
Y'all. Stealing my thunder.
I love it. There's so much to talk about and so much to dissect here, but that's kind of why I was thinking like this would be a fun podcast topic. Is like, okay, well, if we are going to do this, like at least with the podcast, it's a nice long form sort of thing that where we can really give it all our attention for like and then have enough time, because like I was putting together a minute, like, or not a minute, sorry, a video that I ended up deleting and just scrapping, that was trying to be like an analysis video, because I was just like, I feel like this is so shallow of an analysis for me personally, and also like I don't know, like I was feeling very I don't know how to describe it. Very like I couldn't give it
really,
the time.
like video inspiring for you? Yeah.
Yeah, like I couldn't give it the time that I wanted to. So I feel like this was and have it edited up nice. So I feel like this was a good way for me personally to do it as well. But I know Jesse already has an analysis video. Everyone who's watching, if you haven't seen that already, it's really good. Go give it a watch. I'm sure he's got lots more coming too. As he just said, he has a video planned anyway. So yes. All right. Well, let's wrap this business up here.
Yeah.
𝗏, who are you? Why does it matter? Where can people find you?
I am 𝗙𝗵𝗲. You can find me on my Twitch channel that's currently dead at 𝗙𝗵𝗲 with an extra A. You can also find me on Twitter at 𝗙𝗵𝗲, where I find that I'm most active. You'd be surprised. I'm a pretty good lurker. I know lots of things. And my YouTube channel, also kind of dead right now because I haven't been streaming. I only upload VODs to it, is 𝗙𝗵𝗲. You can find all of those links in our description below. And then also Saturdays, I've been guesting with 𝗏𝗏 on his Saturday night, except we're doing Saturday morning stream for Splatter Day. So this week is going to be Splatfest. We're going to do that. It's going to be a good time. And I think we've decided we're going to be Team Gear. So yeah, 10 a.m. this Saturday.
Yeah.
On 𝗏𝗏's channel.
And all of 𝗏's links are in the description. I'm Daniel. I'm 𝗏𝗏. Also, all of my things are in the description, but everything's 𝗏𝗏. I also make Zelda videos. I haven't had any Tears of the Kingdom videos other than my reaction, just because we did this, and also I feel like I just need to like digest on it a little more. But I do make dungeon design videos, examining all the dungeon designs of things. And I've done now all 4 of the Divine Beasts in Breath of the Wild, and pretty much every other 3D Zelda dungeon. So go give those a watch if you like dungeons. Maybe we'll see some dungeons in this new game, and I can do those ones too. And yeah, as 𝗏 said, I also stream, and we are streaming a lot of Splatoon 3 right now. But I'll be streaming some Ocarina of Time tomorrow, because every Wednesday is Zelda days. So that's about everything for me. And oh yeah, for this, like 𝗏 said, this upcoming Saturday, we're doing it 10 a.m. Pacific instead of the usual Saturday night, because we're having Hyrule Gamer as a special guest on, and time zones are a thing. So just so that it's not in the middle of the night for him, we shifted the time back. So yeah, if you want to hear him converse with us a bit about Splatoon and other things, and I'm sure this will come up in conversation as well, feel free to tune in on my channel. And Jesse, the Game Over guy himself.
Hi,
Yo, Jebby.
I am Jesse. I come here once a week when Daniel lets me out of his basement, and I hope that you all have enjoyed the videos that I've been doing lately and have enjoyed the podcast. And thank you, Daniel and Tubes and Geek from earlier, who's no longer with us. May she rest at work.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, I guess that's it. Links, everything's in the description below. And remember to put your questions to be answered in the comments below, not the live chat, but the comments. And yeah, that's it. Daniel, do you have any news that you would like to mention about your new recipe for your burgers?
No. No
Okay.
news. Aioli is better than mayo. That's all I gotta say.
Hey, facts.
Aioli. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in and watching. We appreciate you all. We are bad at ending these. Oh wait, that's the line for my stream. And we will catch you next week for another episode of the Hylian Gamescast. And subscribe to Game Over Jesse and all the things so that you can catch all of his Zelda's videos. That's it. Bye, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
That's not Halloween yet.
It's not, but still happy Halloween.
We are in spooky season.